one, camera one, camera one, camera one, camera one, camera one.
So it is a beautiful day here in Winton near Benalla. It's Ned Kelly territory, and we are set for race number 2 of the TA2 Muscle Car Series. Now, I'm just looking for my levels for my... Hey, good, mate. How are you doing, love? morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Winton Motor Raceway, where it's normally very wintry, but for some reason this weekend it's balmy Benalla. We are set for round one of the TA2 Muscle Car Series, framed by Hi-Tec steel framing. Balmy conditions. It was mid-30s yesterday, which is absolutely unheard of, and today promises to be much of the same. Great aerial shot. You can see how dry it is. Particularly hot conditions this weekend has really tested men and machine. I know that Matty Kavanagh is standing by down in pit lane as we get set to open up a brand new season of TA2 Muscle Car action, and I cannot wait. Yesterday we had round one, race one. Today we're set for 3 races, and I'm sure it's going to be epic competition. Cool shot as they head down to turn 3 and 4. I'm looking forward to seeing these kind of shots throughout the course of the weekend. Jackson Rice will be starting on your pole position alongside Lee Stibbs. You'll have Graham Cheney and Zach LaChalpo on that second row. Let's get down to Matty Kavanagh. Matt, good morning to you. What a warm day it is again here at Winton.
Hello and welcome everybody to the highly anticipated round number 1 of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. It kicks off right here at Winton Motor Raceway this weekend for a huge national 6-round series. We head up to Darwin, Northern Territory, up into Queensland for round 2 and 3, of course, Queensland Raceway and Morgan Park. Then it's down to Sydney Motorsport Park and finishing off after years of not being there at Calder Park for round number 6. It's great to be here this weekend. We've got some fantastic categories of racing, of course. We have the Victorian Hyundai Excel classes that are coming out in the Masters and the Trophy Series. We've got the Yellow Express RX8 Cup that's going to be out on track this afternoon. Of course, the Australian Super TT Championship have joined forces with the Australian Stock Cars Championship. But of course, on track at the moment is the TA2 Muscle Cars, framed by Hi-Tec steel framing, and they're about to come out for race number 2. The best thing of all is we're going to miss the winter and head to Queensland for round 3 and 4 of racing, guys. I can't wait for this series to get underway.
Feels like we're missing winter altogether. Here at Winton, I've never experienced it so warm here at this time of the year. There they are, lined up behind the safety car. Jackson Rice for Dream Racing was your winner yesterday. Lee Stibbs was definitely the highest result we've seen from Stibbsy so far. The race yesterday was marred by a frightening crash with Brad Gardner out of Penola in South Australia. They almost destroyed the car, but remarkably have repaired it overnight. Not much sleep. The car is back out there. It'll be back off the very last position. Expect him to charge hard. So it'll be Rice, Stibbs, Cheney, LaChalpo, Thomas, Bates, McAllister, Jackson, Coulter and Hollinger. That's the first 5 rows of your grid. Go back to Hume, McKeldin, Lang, Hargraves, Lindstrom, Robinson, Rao, Crutcher, Formosa, Pappas. That's back in the 10-row situation. And just watching just then, that was actually the Gardner car I'm talking about that was involved in that incident yesterday. So it looks like we may do one more lap around. There is Jackson Rice on screen, the Pettis suspension, Dream Racing Mustang, and Lee Stibbs there with him. Stibbs was very impressive. It was his teammate Gardner who unfortunately ended up in the tyre bundle, buried underneath it, right there to the left of your shot. That is where Gardner ended up, buried under there. Substantial work by the team. Mike Vito and the boys really had to thrash to get that car. Here's a look at it now. Now watch Gardner in the middle of your shot. It never even turns. Watch this. Boom, shakalaka. Buried it underneath the tyre bundle. I got to tell you that never ever happens. So remarkable. So Gardner's car, I believe, had locked up just then, so they had some issues in the roll around, and that would be devastating if they can't get. Look at the damage that was done to the Castec Rural Surprise CRT number 22. Now he's on track and fired back up now. So that's the good news. So welcome to round 1 of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series from Ned Kelly country, Benalla in Victoria, the legendary Winton Motor Raceway. Those drone shots are going to be fantastic today. That's Hugh McAllister on screen, driving in the Pro class for McAllister Motors and Fuchs Lubricants. Hugh's dad, Ian, was heavily involved in the original days of the V8 Youth Series. He raced in the competition as well. And that team, I believe, have just unofficially confirmed George Miedeke to get behind the wheel with Hugh for our twin driver Pro-Am event that's going to be held up at Hidden Valley Raceway in just a few weeks' time. So exciting stuff for them. Graham Cheney just going by on camera, along with his teammate Paul Hadley. Hadley is the principal of IES Motorsport out of the Wollongong area. So here we go. 3 Hail Marys and pass the ammunition. It's time for race number 2, round 1 of the TA2 Muscle Car Series, framed by Hi-Tec Steel Framing. And watch towards the back. Josh Haynes yesterday had overheating issues, which also led to some oil thinning issues. They put a bigger oil filter in the car, changed the oil up, and they're hoping to keep the car cool with Josh staying out of dirty air. So here we go. Watch towards the back and watch towards the front if you can. There's going to be plenty going on. We get set, rolling start here at Winton. That bright green car to the left is Haynes. Oh, ripper drone shot. It's race 2 for the weekend. We had race 1 yesterday. And look at this monster field. Head down into turn 1 and 2. Wow, Stibbs. Lee Stibbs got the lead. Oh no, Cheney. He's gone agricultural on the inside. Not sure what happened, but he was quick to get back on track. They've all bunched up. Gee, that could have been ugly. I'm not sure what caused it. He might have got a little bit of a malachi that moved him in. Hume alongside McAllister. And it is on, like the proverbial, here at Winton Motor Raceway. Rice got jumped by Stibbs, who's looking to win his first ever TA2 muscle car race. You see Rob Leonard on screen just then. There goes Zach LaChalpo. So busy stuff early. Oh man, very squirrely just then was Mick Rao. The truckie from Queensland is also a sprint car driver. We see the 52 car just back there as well. Oh, Bernie Walsh, one of our many rookies. Matty Cav has done the Linford Christie up to the commentary box from pit lane on a very warm day here at Winton for round 1 of the series. And Matt, I cannot wait. We had 27 cars here at the start of this round. It's going to be an amazing year ahead.
Cannot wait to see it actually unfold. It's been great to see Brett Gardner back out in this car. They were up till 1:30 in the morning to make that hit the track and just try and get a few points in round number 1 because we were expecting big things from him. But here we go. We come into race number 2, lap number 2 of racing, and Lee Stibbs is still in front of Jackson Rice at the moment. I'm looking at this turn number 3. Oh, they come through turn 1. It's very, very narrow down there at the moment. Wow. Let's have a look at our front runners though. As you can see, Lee Stibbs still leading us out over Jackson Rice. Now, in the background there, Nick Bates as well on that first lap. I think him and Cheney might have just pushed him out, so he's moved back a couple of positions as well.
Wow, Rice is really putting the blowtorch to our leader, Lee Stibbs. Now, they're actually going to put a lap down on Brad Gardner here very shortly. Take a nice aerial look at it. Here is a busy situation here. Now, Josh Haynes is in that bright green car to the left. Oh, you can see Formosa! The General Lee, certainly in Hazard County right then. And the 49 car goes around. There's Pete Robinson at the top of your screen. It's very busy through a corner they call the cleavage. Let's have a look at the replay. Oh, wow. Was it LaChalpo? I think there might have been a bit of contact with LaChalpo and Cheney. Now, LaChalpo is the Southern Series champion. Cheney, the Northern Series champ. They come by to put another lap in the books. You can see that Rice is shadowing Stibbs. Now, Matt, the big talking point from yesterday was overheating. A lot of drivers having trouble with overheating motors. A lot of that's going to come down to not staying in the draft and trying to keep as much air through the front of the grille as you can today. But I don't think Jackson Rice cares.
No, he's right in there. It was the temperature of the oil and starting to thin out, and they were watching their oil pressures as the laps went on. So how many laps can you do before you just need to reprieve back and take a moment there to get some fresh air in the front of that car? So Jackson Rice will be pushing on as long as he possibly can. The other thing we spoke to some of the drivers was the tyre degradation as the heat went on, but it's overcast today. Formosa's now slotted himself back in a bit further down the field at the moment. That was very unfortunate to see him earlier, but here it is. Our front runners, Lee Stibbs, still leading out. Jackson Rice waiting for that moment there as they come out of the cleavage there. He's got a bit of a run up here into turn number 10 if he can make it happen.
Just watching Chris Pappas there in the A car in behind Mick Rao. Now they're on an even footing this weekend with the Hoosiers. What normally happens as we get into the later rounds, you only get 6 tyres to use for the round. Here's another look back at some of the action from this previous lap. Now this is the incident with Formosa. He went to the inside of Rao, and Pappas gave him a little bit of a touch to the right rear corner panel of the Allgate Dodge, and around he went. So there might be some discussion with Elliot Barber, who is our driver standards observer here this weekend. A very handy racer in his own right. Right, still trying to close down Lee Stibbs, who's desperate in that Arrow Financial Services number 66 to get his first ever TA2 Muscle Car Series win. The expatriate Pom lives in South Australia these days and really has stepped up his program. He ran a couple of rounds with us last year with teammate Brad Gardner, and boy, hasn't he done a great job. We just saw then a flash of green. It was Josh Haynes. Now Haynes has had to come from well back in the order. He too had engine and overheating issues. Aaron Tebb had clutch issues, so he too has started down the back. They're going to come up on Gardner here shortly, and this is actually Stibbs' teammate, so he'll be thinking, Brad, get out of the way, then get in the way. Did I say that?
Yeah, you did say
Yeah, I said that.
Look, they've got to help each other out, don't they? It's all about getting as many championship points in this first round of racing that you possibly can put together, because you don't know what's going to happen throughout the 6 rounds of racing here at the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. And a great shot above. You can see how close they are as they move into Formosa, just at the back of that one.
Neat little artistic kind of shot right there. There's all the hard-working crew. We get into lap 5 of 11 for Lee Stibbs. Rice really putting him under the hammer. LaChalpa was in 3rd. Nick Bates, the defending Rookie of the Year and Masters Series champion, the Serco Masters class. We have 3 classes within each race. Pro for drivers under 50 years of age. You have the Serco Masters class for drivers on the other side of the half century, and the Race Tech Seats Rookie class. And there are a number of rookies that we see out here. Gunnedah smashed a pair at Greg Keane was one of those. Bernie Walsh, the ex-supercar racer, is also one of those. Hayden Hume, the youngster who came out of the 86 class from Toyotas to TA2s. He's doing a nice job as well after having early problems during the weekend with power steering. There is Walsh, we just spoke about him, and he had Formosa in behind him. So battle pack of Keem, Hadley, Paul Hadley, Bernie Walsh, and Chris Formosa. Now you saw Gardner just getting out of the way, just then off to the side. A smart move. Oh, we got trouble here. Robinson's involved. Pappas is involved. Rowell is involved. Oh, it just got UGLY. You ain't got no alibi. Ugly right then.
I think they were very sedate yesterday, weren't they? But it is Sunday and they are looking for all the points side by side. For Mosa now might be able to regain a few of those positions he lost after that incident earlier in the race.
Interesting to see that. I think Peter Robinson was involved in that as well. Let's look at your Hi-Tec Oils replay and find out just what was going on. It certainly got busy. Oh, wow. So Pappas had already launched and the boys were going agricultural to miss him. Peter Robinson, the man who owns the series, does an amazing job promoting it. Peter Robinson in that Marvel Comics lookalike Dodge. So back through turn 2, there is Mark Crutcher. Now Crutch, you would have had a bit of experience. Oh no, around goes Lang. Nick Lang turns it in the Tefal group number 44. And fortunately it was like Teflon. Nobody ran into him. Teb is closing in on him now as the cars come up on him. But Lang, new look, new livery, great looking car, and looped it all on his own as he locked them up coming down into turn 3. He had a bit of time yesterday, the presentation evening, the kickoff dinner yesterday, Matt, and Mark Crutcher, a great character out of Young in New South Wales, and here he is in the big number 4. Now behind him is Josh Haynes. Now bearing in mind, Josh started at a position 25. And I'm just looking for where he is on our leaderboard right now. So up to position 16, Matty.
Yeah, and he just got Teb through that incident before. He came down the inside after Lang went off. So he's taking every opportunity that he can out there, Haynes, to get as far up the field as possible.
Now there is Keem from Gunnedah in that blue number 13 entry. The De Beer refinish entry, and he's got a ton of cars in behind him. Hadley is in there, so is Rowell. So a neat little battle pack with some of the Masters class and rookie drivers. This is a great drive from Lee Stibbs. Can quote verbatim the In-Betweeners episodes. This bloke gives his teammate Brad Gardner a lot of morale-boosting encouragement, aka light criticism, but he would be absolutely loving this. What an opportunity for him. He's driven F5000s as well, so he's got a bit of experience, a bit of pedigree. Now we're just seeing Dylan Thomas closing in then on Nick Bates. And there is Lang going by the immaculate Tefal Brick 44. That's a better corner for him.
He's looking much more comfortable out there, but unfortunately he is down quite a few positions, back to position 17 at the moment. You see our race leaders, though, at this point, not quite sure if Jackson Rice maybe just backing off for a moment there to try and get those temperatures down in the car, like we've spoken about it earlier. They've struggled. Here we go. Nick Bates now got to watch out for Dylan Thomas. Thomas starting to put some pressure on him, the CXC.
Yeah, he's always quick. Dylan has driven a variety of cars over the years, as opposed to Nick Bates, who came into the series with very little motor racing experience of his own at all. Has two very famous brothers who are icons in the rally world. Oh, Keem in the ex-Coulter Mustang, doing his best to get right out of the way. Well done, Keemy. Good thinking. Trying to get to an access road, which will hopefully not necessitate a safety car. You are watching round one of the TA2 Muscle Car Series, framed by Hi-Tec Steel Framing. And it's round one of the all-new Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. Going to be an amazing year. We head to Hidden Valley Raceway in Darwin for round two. All lock up from Hume. It's a cool-looking entry, the Total Parts Plus Dodge, the 45. Little bit of a lock-up from the rookie, but seems like it's got it back under control now.
Yeah, we're seeing quite a few lock-ups on that turn number 3, aren't we? As they come in, they're a little bit off camber as they start to hit in the corner. But we'll check this out as he goes through the cleavage down the back end. He's going to have to watch out, though, because he is under an immense amount of pressure this time.
John Hollinger, yeah, doing a good job on a 23 car, the all-black 23. Looks a little bit like the Dale Earnhardt kind of Goodwrench NASCAR look and feel from back in the day. We need to get an aerial shot at some point of why we call that part of the racetrack the cleavage. It's an interestingly shaped concept. We're just watching going through then Dean Lindstrom doing a nice job. Lindstrom back with a sweet-looking car, and he's got Adam Hargraves. Now there is Keem, the De Beer refinish entry, the smash repairer from Gunnedah on debut. Picked up the car only a couple of days ago, drove it for the first time on Friday at practice. Thomas lurking with intent now, Matty Cab, as he takes on Nick Bates.
Only a couple more laps to see if he can get a manoeuvre done. You can see him trying to apply that pressure, and look at those fangs. They've got to be in those side mirrors. They've got quite a lot of vision out of these cars compared to some of the other race cars, so he'll know exactly where Dylan Thomas is behind him and how much pressure does he want to put on. We've seen the temperature issues earlier this weekend, and we see some of these drivers now starting to open up some gaps, and I believe that will be to try and cool the oil down in the cars.
Speaking of Nick Bates a little bit earlier on, his wife and his daughter are actually standing not far from us, just down into turn 3, and they said to me, I said to his daughter, Michelle, when are you going to drive? She said, I'm ready to drive now. And I said, Nick, your daughter said she wants to drive. He said she's phenomenally fast on the road, terrible in a racetrack. I don't know what he meant by that. There is Lindstrom in the 30 car, and behind him is Hargraves as he starts to close in. Good to have Hargraves back in the series, and we're working lap 9, about to be lap 10 of 11. I cannot fault Lee Stibbs. This guy is braining him in the Arrow Chevy Camaro.
It'll be interesting to see what his lap times are as they come round, because in the previous couple laps I've been watching it, he's been about half a second faster than Rice, but last lap round he might have just rolled off a bit, as we see. Now the number 40 car out there, of course, it's Robert Leonard just doing some laps out there. He's not looking under too much pressure on his own as he makes his way around the track, settles the car up nicely, not wanting to use too much of that inside curve coming out of turn number 4.
Very famous engineer working on that car this weekend, and Stevie Johnson, son of the legendary Dick Johnson, but of course Stevie himself was the team manager for his son Jet, who wrapped up the championship last year. As we see Stibbs with 2 to go, cool shot overhead of Winton Motor Raceway. Neat little battle going on then. Might have been Hadley and Rowell having their own battle as well. There is the pit lane area. This is race 2. We have 2 to go this afternoon to wrap up round 1. And we haven't seen much of this guy on screen just then, the 81 car, but he's been doing an excellent job. Hayden Jackson out of Maitland in the Hunter Valley of New South Wales. He too is a rookie. Ooh, nice little run up the inside just then. Here's your leader, lap 10 of 11. And Stibbs has really opened up some ground over Jackson Rice in second.
He's done that a few laps ago because they're only hundredths of a second behind on lap times from the last 2 laps. So they have settled into a nice little bit of race pace at the moment. I think Jackson Rice probably doesn't have the tyres left to be able to make the move down there and apply any more pressure, and it's just backed off a fraction, left a little bit of a gap, trying to accumulate those points so they make sure they're in a good position for the start of race number 3 today.
Looking to move into the final lap. We're just watching the 51 car just go past us right there. Now remember, Cheney had some issues. He started out of position number 3, but he went bush down into turn number 3 after some contact, I think, with LaChalpo, and it's been a bit of a tough drive for him since then. We take a look at Stibbs working the final lap. Immaculate looking car. I did notice that Gardner was getting out of the way of everybody whenever he could, so they're just trying to get some laps in and get that thing dialed in for the last couple of races. Oh, there's an off. I think it's Raoul, just looking from the very distinctive colour scheme in the background. You can see a little bit of tyre smoke and dust and everything else at the top of the screen just then. That was Queensland truckie Mick Raoul. Less than a lap to go, Matt. This guy has been in charge.
Look, he's led from start to finish. Nice manoeuvre there. As you can see, the tyres getting a little bit slippery now. Oh, got to get a bit of excitement in this final lap. It's race number 2 here of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. The TO2 muscle cars framed by Hi-Tec steel framing.
Like an arrow, this man has been well and truly on target. Lee Stibbs. This will be an historic moment for him. His first ever TA2 muscle car series win, framed by Hi-Tec steel framing. And what a moment for this team. They worked very hard all night on the team car of Brad Gardner, and the checker comes out for the expat Pom. Lee Stibbs. Jackson Rice will pick up second. Southern Series champion Zach LaChalpo will get third. Nicholas Bates will cross the line in fourth. Dylan Thomas. Good job from Hayden Jackson, Matty Cab. Rookie in 6th place in race 2.
Done a really good job there to hold out, and of course Michael Coulter there in 7th position. Hugh McAllister in 8th, crosses over the start-finish line. Of course we go back, Josh Haynes has made it all the way up to 9th position, where he was 25th he started out. So what a move it is from him, really pushing hard despite having those issues yesterday.
Well, there's no doubt that he has the talent and the speed to do that. It's a new car this year for them, new sponsorship with Beaches Sea-Doo. He's an exciting young man out of Canberra. But you can't take anything away from Lee Stibbs. Interesting to think where people have come from to get to where they did. Hayden Hume started position 11 in this one. Ended up 10th. Now, bearing in mind, he's a rookie. He really didn't get much qualifying time in the car when they had power steering issues. But you just see Stibbs waving to the recovery teams around here. The officials, the hard-working officials. Jackson Rice for Dream Racing is off to a dream start. He set pole for PWR Pole Award, picked up $500 cash for his trouble, and his teammate is Hayden Jackson. So those guys, Dream Racing, 2 cars in the top 6. Good start for them, Matt, that's for sure.
Yeah, they've got to be really excited about that coming into this series, to get up there. And of course, we've still got 2 races to go this afternoon. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Let's have a look at the results, though, for the TO2 muscle cars here.
What a drive.
Framed by Hi-Tec steel framing.
Haynes up to position 9, as you pointed out. Hugh McAllister under the radar. Nice job for him. Michael Coulter, good job for him in the Camaro after coming from the Mustang from last year. So Stibbs, Rice, LaChalpo, Bates, Thomas, Jackson, Coulter, McAllister, Haynes and Hume. We'll flip over the page to John Hollinger. Nice job for John Hollinger. Crutcher ends up 12th, the Cappuccino Kid. Matty McKeldin picks up 13th. It's about where he's been so far this weekend. When you go back there, Peter Robinson, who got caught up in that incident. Bernie Walsh, Mick Rowell had that spin. Rob Leonard had some issues. Cheney was a lap down. So there must be more trouble than what we saw. Greg Keane was a DNF. And Brad Gardner, well, Brad, I think, was just trying to stay out of the way and get some laps to reward his team. Let's take a look at some Hi-Tec Oils highlights right now of race number 2. Bearing in mind we had our first race yesterday, which was won by Jackson Rice. Lee Stibbs was second and Graham Cheney was third. But let's have a look at how it all played out. Back to our incident initially. So it was LaChalpo and Cheney that got together, and the IES Camaro shot across the racetrack. And obviously there was more trouble than just that. in the 51 car. He faded. I'll find out later on what the go was there. This is Pappas, Formosa, Teb in there as well, and also Josh Haynes. Look how quick Haynes is to the left of your screen. This is where it got a little squeezy. Formosa turn the General Lee Dodge around. And here's a look from another perspective with Pappas getting back on track. That's what caused this. Robinson and Rowell had to go scrub-wise to avoid that situation. Just saw Hadley off to the right just then as Pappas rejoins. There is Lindstrom. Oh, so there it was. So it looked to me like Lang might have just come up a little bit quicker on Lindstrom than he was thinking. Had to jab the brakes, and it turned the gorgeous Tefol Camaro. That thing's a sweet-looking hot rod, isn't it?
It is absolutely fantastic to see these cars there. Don't they look great? Now, Greg Keane, that's his second race in a row now where he's had to pull off and having some issues with the car. They've been working on that frantically overnight as well, so that's unfortunate for that team.
Here's Rowley doing Rowley things in the Rowell Logistics number 15. What a great character this man is. Heavily involved in a number of different motorsport codes in different ways. And it's great to see Mick back here, although it's been a pretty busy weekend for him so far. Lee Stibbs, nice job. Career first victory for that guy. He will wrap up race number 2. Car's getting ready to come out for the next race on the calendar. Fantastic way to kick things off, Matty Cav. It's very warm today. Let's go down right now to Matt, who's going to be, in fact, it should be Stephen White down there having a chat with these guys.
Need a little bit more pace to catch Lee, so I know a really good race, so all credit to those boys, and no, really good and happy, and we'll just keep chipping away.
Good on you. Thank you. See you in race 3. Thanks, Jackson.
Cheers, mate.
Sounds like Whitey was just talking with Jackson Rice just then. Solid competitor. Interesting injury in the lead up to this round. You get a different story to what I got.
Yeah, he's just being very
what did you call
politically correct.
What did he tell you?
A training incident.
Yeah, a training incident in the kitchen was what I got told. So interesting that Jackson Rice, but anyway, it didn't seem to affect his performance. It'll be interesting to see how much he was looking after the car at all, or whether Stibbs just had the pace that he needed. So all TA2 cars now back in the pits. They'll have their next race just after 1 o'clock today and the finale at 4 p.m. It's going to be an epic season. Hidden Valley and Darwin for round 2. QR, the paperclip. It's a great racetrack for TA2. Morgan Park. It's going to be epic there. Already fully subscribed. Sydney Motorsport Park, a nighttime event. Can't wait for that.
It's going to be great under lights, especially what we've seen from the cars.
Bend. The Bend Motorsport Park was an amazing venue for us last year. And then, spiritual home, Calder Park Raceway. We'll be heading back there for the series finale in late November. Teams will go to work on the TA2 muscle cars. Matty Cav, I'll talk to you a bit later on.
Yeah, hopefully there's not too much work to do between rounds for those cars. Look like most of them came out of the second race pretty well unscathed here at the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. Of course, it is our first round of this national series, put together 6 rounds across Australia, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. During the winter months down in the south, we're going to be heading up to Queensland Raceway in June, and of course Morgan Park in Queensland in July. So we're going to stay out of the cold conditions and move this series around so all the fans and everybody racing can enjoy the year. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Of course, we love bringing you the coverage, of course, this morning on the live stream, but we will head over to our TV broadcast from 1 p.m. this afternoon, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. Our Yellow Express RX8 Cup is not too far away, as Lachlan Mansell is about to join me back here. And we've got a very special guest that's going to be joining us too. Probably unfortunate not to see him on the grid a little bit today, and reigning champion as well, and it's going to be Tom Shaw joining us. It was a big night for you, Tom. You had a massive bit of driving to do overnight, I believe.
Yeah, unfortunate to be up here, mate, but not the place you want to be standing at the moment. But we're good. Really looking forward to watching the first race for the Yellow Express RX8 Cup this year. Second race, sorry, but yeah, great action yesterday to be in the car. Had a great race with Justin Barnes and the Lewis brothers, but yeah, unfortunate to be up here. So
you were in the car yesterday. Tell us a little bit about the conditions. It's very overcast today. It looks like we got a bit of a reprieve from the sun, but sitting in the race suit, the sun was glaring, the wind was warm as well. What was it like trying to get 10 laps out there?
10 laps was a long time. Felt like a long time in the car. Very hot out there. As a driver, sort of trains you as well. We've got the 6 hour coming up as well, so yeah, good practice for that. But very hot for the driver, so I can understand why we brought the 8 laps into it for all the races today. So it's a good understanding.
And great to have Yellow Express on board as a series sponsor this year. Of course, the man with a van, and he's out there racing, Justin Lewis.
Justin Lewis is doing a great job. Yeah, it's great to have a marquee sponsor on this year. It's really developing our category. I can work with Justin. We can promote this series with you guys, and it's getting our name out there really well.
And I do believe you've got a round sponsor for this one as well.
Yeah, we sure do. One Stop Car Wash, Glenn Gamble. He's been absolutely awesome. One Stop Car Wash equipment. Just come on for the first 2 rounds. His support's been awesome, so check those guys out. They make it happen.
Well, look, Lockie gets super excited when he's in here in the commentary box when it comes to the Yellow Express RX8 Cups.
Yeah.
They're just so evenly matched, aren't they, Lachlan?
They sure are, and we had a fantastic race yesterday. A few interesting storylines. We've already covered off Tom Shaw, very lucky to get to the finish line in second position before his engine expired on the cool-down lap. Unfortunately, not so lucky today and will not take any further part in the weekend. But the other interesting story to come out of yesterday's opening race involved our race winner, Justin Barnes. He was also extremely lucky to get to the finish line because when his car got to the pits at the end of the race, they discovered that there was a bent left rear tow arm, so that was causing the suspension and the handling characteristics of the car to be very wayward, to say the least. Justin, initially, when he went out onto the track, he thought that the tyres just hadn't come up to temperature and pressure, but as the race went on, it went worse and worse, and he said another couple of laps and he probably wouldn't have finished either, so they've replaced that tow arm overnight, and he's ready to go with the front row of the grid all to himself in race 2 this morning.
It's always great to see that our teams just don't get away with it, do you? Think they're going to start off, they've got a fresh car out here, you've only had 1 round of racing for your series, you've come here, the cars look absolutely fantastic, but the conditions always throw a bit of a curveball at you, and of course we're at Winton Motor Raceway, we're at the National Circuit, of course we've got the extended track, 3 kilometres, 12 turns to get around, and we did notice a lot of rubber being picked up by your tyres yesterday.
Not so on my car, but yeah, it was sort of a 50-50 rubber build-up on our drivers' cars, but I'm really looking forward to this race. We forgot how technical this track was. It's challenging on the drivers, challenging on the cars, bringing the weather into it. Makes for an awesome event.
And considering they're a controlled engine, basically a stock 13B, naturally aspirated, they've got a stock computer in them. Where are the overtaking opportunities around this circuit?
Oh, there's quite a few, Matt. I think 1 and 2 is a big point, trying to get the car dipped in there, but down here at 3 in front of us, that's where I made the move yesterday on Justin Lewis. Back to second gear and got up the inside of him there. Round the trees, awesome.
Well, let's head down to Stephen White though in pit lane.
Thanks, Matt. Coming up next, we've got the Mazda RX8 Cup, brought to you by Yellow Express. Look at the field, beautiful field of cars. Very popular category, and obviously something that's going to follow the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series for 2023.
Yes, it's going to be great to have these cars on track, isn't it? A really budget category if you want to get into racing, but it's so close because of the way that the series is put together, I suppose, the technical aspects. You can't have a huge horsepower car versus a low horsepower car. They're all the same. Controlled tyres as well. The Yokohamas, I believe, you got on board. Oh, no, you got the Nankangs on board, don't you? Yeah, so great to have all that as part of the series as well. So it comes down to a driver really trying to get the car. Well, you've got your team setting up the steering, the suspension geometry, and then you've really got to drive the car.
And I've heard as well, Tom, that the Nankang control tyres that you use, they're very durable, and some drivers will use them for multiple rounds.
100% lucky. We've had guys that have used the tyres for a full season before. Yes, you're not going to be completely competitive, but yeah, we got a new award coming thanks to Just in Time Auto Glass this year. It's called the Old Rubber Award. So we got guys actually competing on second-hand tyres. You can't have marked up any new tyres for the weekend, and it gives those guys that might have a little bit less of a budget compared to other guys. They might be running in the midfield, but it gives them a great opportunity to race for a trophy and race on older tyres.
That's an awesome initiative, isn't it? And really good to see businesses. We've already talked about Yellow Express, who have come on as the major sponsor for this year. And obviously Just in Time Auto Glass, owned by Justin Barnes, who is a series competitor. Good to see competitors getting behind and supporting their own series.
It's great. It's really a family affair. Most of the sponsors on the cars are actually their dads or the families. It's also great to have some national sponsors come on board as well. There's Justin there in the Yellow Express car. He's looking awesome. He's pumped to go. I know he wants to get a podium.
Oh, he told me that yesterday he missed a gear. That's how he got past him. That's what he told. That's the story we're going with anyway. But look, we couldn't do this series without some great support, and of course Hi-Tec Oils, and we caught up with George Gambino from Hi-Tec Oils a little bit earlier.
Fantastic, George, to have you on board here. How is it that you've joined this series?
We came across probably because I met Stephen and a couple of people here, and they came up with a great concept, and I thought, you know what, I can do a little bit of work with these guys and push the brand.
So obviously a foray into circuit racing, you're obviously synonymous for drift, speedway, 6 hour at Bathurst. Why a series? Why get involved in a series?
Well, we had a series running a few years back with some other companies, and that was pretty cool. And it gets us exposure to a lot more drivers and that at these tracks, and our brand is going to be out there all weekend, which is great.
I understand obviously where all the series goes, the 6 rounds right around Australia, that you've got a depot or a headquarters in every state. How great is that for all of your staff?
Well, it's good for all of us now, because now we're going to go national, and you guys are running a national series. So we do the same with the drifting. We travel and we do the show, and I've got all my people ready to go.
Look, a man that's so passionate about motorsports, George Gambino, and he's got his Hi-Tec Drifting Australia as well, but his brand all over Australia, and it's not just the oils, it's the batteries as well that you can get from him, and now doing into the fuel. So he's got the racing fuel here this weekend, which a lot of competitors are running as well. So it's great to have George Gambino, the Hi-Tec Oils brand, and of course this brand new series.
And of course, as well as the oil, there's a whole lot of other, I suppose, supplementary products in addition to that. So things like oil filters, very important to make sure that not only you have the right oil in your car, but also the right specification oil filter can ensure that you get the maximum life and longevity out of your engine as well. Well, we've got the Mazda RX-8s coming out onto the circuit for their second race of the weekend. Justin Barnes will have the front row of the grid all to himself for this one. We've got the brothers Justin and Terry Lewis starting on the second row. Justin was thrilled with his performance yesterday. It's only his 4th ever race meeting this weekend, and he finished inside the top 3, beating home his brother Terry Lewis, who is a former Australian production car champion. So that was a sensational performance from Justin. Also looking forward, Tom, to seeing how Luke Webber goes. He was one of the big improvers last year, and he finished on the podium in the opening round of your season at Phillip Island.
Luke's been driving mega. He only started racing last year. You've got to realise how far this guy's come in the seat. From driving one hand at some of the meetings, and now he's told me this weekend he's finally got 2 hands on the wheel from his paddock bashing days. But Luke's doing an awesome job. He's actually second in the championship coming into this round. I think it was 80 points. So that's obviously changed after yesterday's first race. But mate, I'm super stoked for him. Luke, he can go for a podium in this race for sure.
One of the other storylines that we need to watch in this race involves car number 15 starting at the rear of the field out of position number 19, Ryan Gordon. He was the 2021 Mazda RX-8 Cup champion. Took a break from racing last year, but he's come back into the series this weekend. Very, very fast in qualifying yesterday. Took pole by more than half a second. He looked set to drive away from the field in race 1, but some electrical problems forced him into retirement. He'll be on a big charge today.
I'm gutted for him yesterday, but that lap he did in qualifying, that just, that's legend status. That time he produced, it was 1 point something off me. It's just, it shows the guy is that talented of a driver. He can hop back in one of these cars, and he's just natural. He's a natural driver. It'd be really good to see how he goes from the back of the grid here. I actually just spoke to his dad Lee, and he said this is a great excuse to start from the back of the grid.
Here we go, we line them up, of course, a standing start here for the Yellow Express RX-8 Cup, and let's have a look at race number 2, how it's going to play out. Justin Barnes leading us off position number 1. Of course, Tom Shaw's here in the commentary box, did not make it out after some engine issues. Justin Lewis and Terry Lewis are going to be side by side, the brothers on the second row. Luke Webber in 5th position. Jackson Noakes in 6th, then it goes back to Ben Shaw, Ben Silverstone, Thomas Derwent and Jack Panetchow.
Outside the top 10, we've got Miles Bergoglio out of 11th spot back to Martin Lyle, David Bryce, William Ham in 14th, Maisie Place in 15th, Ash McConchie over from New Zealand this weekend starting in 16th, back to Glenn Gamble. Jamie Canellis in the Raceway track time car had some gearbox issues yesterday. They've done a gearbox change overnight. Lights out and away we go. Very good start from Justin Lewis from the second row of the grid. Barnes got off a little bit sideways. They'll all funnel down into turn number 1. Fantastic drone shots on our live stream coverage this morning, but it will be Barnes who will lead them through turns 1 and 2, and it's Justin Lewis leading his brother Terry.
And there we go, Ryan Gordon already forcing his way through the field and making up a few places there at the moment. You can see him funnel into turn number 3. They're 3 wide. Oh, under brake, so they funnel it down into 2 cars. Well, I think we're going to see some very exciting racing coming in there.
That's a huge start from Ryan Gordon. He's already made up 6 positions in the space of the first 4 corners of this motor race. So Ryan Gordon, blinding start, charging hard from the back of the field.
We'll have a look here, our race leader up there, and he looks like he's very comfortable again now. Just set himself in. He's got to watch out. Terry Lewis hangs the car out sideways behind his brother, but he's got to watch out because right behind him, Luke Webber applying the pressure there. They're three back-to-back cars here at the moment. A big fight for position number 2, and we go further back. Oh, there's a bit of smoke. They're not quite sure if that was out the exhaust or a little bit of a brake lock up in the background. But have a look at this, our leader, Barnes, out in the lead by... Probably got himself a second lead at the moment there, and wow, the Lewis brothers are going to go at it. We'll wait and see what happens there.
And that was Ryan Gordon looking down the inside of Ben Silvestro into turn 10 as well, so already knocking on the door of the top 10, and here go side by side. That's Jackson Noakes trying to go round the outside of Terry Lewis, but he'll be on the wrong side of the road heading into turns 11 and 12. Has to tuck back in behind number 29 Rotary Motion Machine. Gets a good exit from the final corner though, and the drag race will continue down the main straight. They will be side by side across the line, and it's Noakes who manages to take the position. A fantastic exit from the final corner and moves up into third spot.
Just going to look as they go around. Terry Lewis pushing on hard, and he's had to drop back that position now. Noakes has made that work, and I'm sure Lewis will want to regain back into third position if he can. He won't want to be in fourth again. He want to be on the podium alongside of his brother. So have a look at them go round, and here it is, our battle on screen at the moment. Second, third, fourth, as they go through. Just having a look as they go round, they head towards the cleavage section of this track. Turns 5, 6 and 7.
Oh, and here goes Ryan Gordon looking up the inside of Jack Panaccia on the run into turn number 7. In this category, it's not easy to overtake because the cars are so evenly matched, but Ryan Gordon, he came from the last on the grid to 8th in one lap. What a drive this has been so far from Gordon.
He's just in the back there. We check it out. Terry Lewis hangs the car out, and of course Noakes just stays to the racing line. Lewis looking to do a move on the outside, Noakes on the inside. You think they go wheel to wheel almost as they pull up into turn number 10. It's just over a 90-degree turn. Very sharp there for him. Looks like Noakes is going to go through, and in the background there you can see it's Luke Webber going to take advantage of this one, and will Terry Lewis lose another position?
And Ben Shaw maintaining a watching brief, and there is Ryan Gordon as coming back down the inside. Terry Lewis gets the spot back on Luke Webber. Gordon to the outside of Ben Shaw in the Optus car. It's an absolute freight train from positions 3 backwards. The top 2 of Justin Barnes and Justin Lewis have been able to pull away as Webber looks to the inside of Terry Lewis. It's going to be a big braking duel on the run into turn 1, hard on the ABS. Webber right over the ripple strip on the apex of turn 1, and the Lewis looks for the switchback up the hill. The RX8's putting on a sensational show for us at Winton Motor Raceway this morning.
Plenty of entertainment throughout the entire field here at race number 2 of the Yellow Express RX8 Cup as Webber just grabs a little bit of dirt on the outside. Also, it looked like that might be Thomas Derwent going a little bit wide, and a whole heap of dust here. It lays a little bit of evidence to how wide and how far they're pushing these cars. They were suffering a little bit of understeer yesterday in the heat. Maybe we're just starting to see that as the tyres come up to temperature. Possibly that is coming back into play, but look at the braking now, and have a look at Gordon in the background. He will go inside, he will go outside. Any gap you give him, he is not worried about where he's going to put the car. Your race leader just goes by. Barnes looks like he's doing it easy. And of course Justin Lewis settled in the Yellow Express RX8. Noakes looks like he's just opened up a little bit of a gap on Webber. Maybe they'll catch up, but it's here Terry Lewis going back through the field, and then you see the number 4 there, the Dale Patterson Motorsport car. He's just in the mix here, having a look to see if they can get it. Gordon, can he get the job done? Can he move up another position?
And so Luke Webber, having made it ahead of Ben Shaw, is now looking down on the inside of Jackson Noakes. Here he comes up the inside. Big send at turn 11, but out brakes himself. Noakes will switch back into the last corner. Webber shuts the door. A bit of nose-to-tail contact between the 2 cars on the exit of turn 12, but it's Webber who picks up that position. He's now up into third spot.
Great views here as you see him go side by side. They're almost 3 wide as Gordon wants to get in the mix now. And how's he going to go under braking into turn number 1? That's the question as we go back through the field. And as they come out of turn number 2, it's a bit of a reshuffle there. Turn number 1, there is not much room, but something on the track there coming out of turn number 2. Maybe a little bit of plastic fairing as Terry Lewis down the inside. Looks like he's being very defensive at the moment.
We brought Tom Shaw up to the commentary box to give us some expert analysis, but he's barely been able to get a word in because of the action-packed nature of this race. give us a sense of what these drivers are thinking and feeling. How high would the heart rate be in the car for these drivers right now?
Lockie, this is unreal. I'm just taking it in. I've never been up here before, and this is an awesome view. I might swap the seat for this.
We want you back out there on the racetrack to be part of this entertainment, Tom, so looking forward to seeing you back on track for the next round. But one man who doesn't have to worry about door-to-door battling is Justin Barnes. He's punched out the fastest lap of the race, a minute 39.1 on lap 2, and has extended the margins of 3.6 seconds over Justin Lewis in second spot.
Barnes will just be looking to get that gap out front here. He's almost on that 4-second margin over Justin Lewis here. He's just got to make these tyres last. 4 laps out of 8 so far. He'll just be thinking consistent laps here. That's what most of the drivers have got to do this weekend. Make this Nankang AR1 last the 8 laps.
Ryan Gordon gets another spot at turn 11, gets down the inside of Ben Shaw. So Ryan Gordon's march forward in this race continues. He's up to 4th position after starting at the rear of the field.
What a drive from him. He is just pushing the car every gap you allow him to. He's not afraid. Real late braking as well to make that happen. You see the lick of flames come out of these RX8s. That's what I love about the rotaries there. You get a nice little burst of flame as they gear back down and really get on the RPM there. Check it out, Gordon though. He's just opened up on Ben Shaw already. Look at the amount of room he's already opened up, the gap he's producing, and now he's got himself Webber in his sights. As Luke Webber's done a fantastic job there.
Gordon will just be thinking where he can sort of size up Webber here, what corner he can get, probably another lap or 2 before you'll start to look right on the back of Webber here, maybe throw it down inside of turn 1. If he can get a really good run into turn 3 as well, that's a really good passing opportunity.
Webber's got decent pace too though. He actually, now that he's got clear track, he just set the fastest lap of the race overall, a minute 38.8. So Webber though clearly found some extra performance in that car overnight. That's only a 1/10 of a second slower than the best lap time that we saw yesterday.
Miles Bergoglio, though, in the 81 car, the Penrod entry, he has been sliding the car around through the back section of this, through the cleavage now. I think he might be struggling with a bit of tyre degradation.
Yeah, Miles is actually running for the old rubber award this weekend, so he's running all old tyres, so he's doing a great job. I said to him yesterday, mate, just see how you go, try and make those last in the heat this weekend, but running 11th at the moment, he's doing an awesome job.
And we should also mention as well, Matty, that Miles Bergoglio comes from a drifting background, so he's used to being a little bit sideways on worn rubber as this contest continues between Jackson Noakes, Terry Lewis, Jack Panaccia, and also Derwent starting to become involved in that contest as well.
Panaccia looks like he's coming on at the right time, and if this continues on between Noakes and Lewis, he could really be in the mix to get himself 2 positions here. He comes through that turn number 1, it's quite tight. You can fit 2 RX8s, so look at him go now down the inside of Terry Lewis and gets himself positioned. Can he break it in? They're almost 3 wide, they're 2 wide, tied in. Noakes comes across the cover, but look at him go. Panaccia sticks the number 4 on the inside, and he'll have the inside run to this right-hander at turn number 4.
Well, you said that he had the opportunity to make up a couple of spots, and he's done just that, Jack Panaccia. We've got a car off the road at turn number 3.
Looks like David Grice.
Yep.
Yes. I'm not quite sure if that's been with anyone. He looked like he was on his own throughout that as well. So he has gone off onto the dirt, and that'll be a bit slidey on those tyres at the moment. He'll have to try and wear that off as we go back to our race leader, the number 44, who's been dominant throughout this entire race. Of course, Barnes just opened up a nice gap now, nearly 3.5 seconds over Lewis, and he is just driving the car around. He's going to be a bit more comfortable with conditions out there at the moment, knowing that he's getting plenty of fresh air into that radiator through the brakes as well, and just getting those lap times done at the moment. A 1:39 last time round.
Jackson Noakes off the road as well, so he was obviously embroiled in that hot contest with Terry Lewis, but he's come to grief up around the top part of the circuit, and actually it's down to turn number 10.
Well, let's have a look at the Hi-Tec Oils replay though about this incident a little bit earlier there, and you can see him off. I'm not quite sure if there was some contact from one of the cars behind him. Of course, that was David Grice there, right off onto the dirt. We'll have a look at this one as well. Wow, look at how much he had. That was Noakes though going off. He's lost a heap of positions now.
So that was up at turn number 9, so that's a shame for Jackson Noakes. He's fallen all the way back to 12th position. As a result of that, we've got a really good battle on for 3rd spot now as well, between Luke Webber and the hard-charging Ryan Gordon.
This is an awesome battle. This is going to get hairy here. These guys got a lot of respect for each other, so let's see how this pans out, mate.
How would that go from position 19 to being on the podium here in race number 2 of the Yellow Express RSA Cup? Well, I can't wait to see how that goes. Your race leader out there just going through the motions, and of course Justin Lewis in his 4th ever race meet in the RSA Cup. He is just cruising around 2nd position, looks reasonably comfortable there, and there's plenty going on all over the track. A bit further back, I think we've got someone going off in the grass, but as you can see now, the battle for 3rd between Webber and Gorton, who's come from the rear of field. Will Gorton get himself into 3rd position? We're coming around to complete lap 7 of 8, just 2 corners left to go. Your race leader sets himself up, the just-in-time auto glass, number 44. Smooth under brakes, just going back, repetition, muscle memory is all he needs to get around this track. Don't need to risk it at this point. Just have a look, this was a car that was off the track a little bit earlier there.
Martin Lyle, and that's the second of the smart boating entries, and that's a shame because he had worked his way up inside the top 10 as Justin Barnes commences the final lap in this 2nd Yellow Express Mazda RX-8 Cup Series race of the weekend. 5-second time penalty has been issued to William Ham. I'm going to be further back in the pack as well. We've seen a few 5-second time penalties being dished out by race control this weekend, predominantly for start line infringements.
Yeah, a couple of them said they got on a little bit early, didn't they? They just accidentally rolled forward, and unfortunately they know they're going to get a penalty for that, and it really unsettles you in the car, and you can't reset yourself, I suppose, for the start, knowing that these RX-8s are on a standing start configuration for their races here this weekend. And as you can see, we're here for race number 2 of the Yellow Express RX-8 Cup, and it's Justin Barnes comfortably out in front in the number 44, led from the start of this race. Unfortunately, Tom Shaw's joined us in the commentary box, was not alongside him like he should have been after race number 1. After some mechanical issues overnight, they were unable to get on top of. So he's probably given himself a bit of a reprieve into that turn number 1, which is so dicey here at Winton Motor Raceway. It narrows down very hard when you're side by side. You see him coming around the final couple of corners there, turn number 10. 2 more right-handers to go. In the background you can see Justin Lewis looking like he's okay, and we will look further back. There's even a little bit of a gap starting to open up. But for race number 2, our first one here of the Sunday of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series, the Yellow Express RX-8 Cup, looks like he's going to come around and take the checkered flag, and it's going to be Justin Barnes leading us out in race number 2, and what a start he'll have in race number 3.
Great job from Justin Barnes there. Did exactly what he had to do. That was his mindset for coming into this race. Awesome job from Justin Lewis again. Absolute class. Only in his first season of racing picks up another 2nd place. Luke Webber comes home with a great battle in 4th place with Ryan Gordon. We've got we go back to Ben Shaw coming home with a great result as well, 5th place there.
Yeah, great performance from Ryan Gordon from 19th on the grid up to 4th spot, and you would have to say with the pace that we've seen out of that number 15 car, starting off the 2nd row for race 3, a bit later on this morning, he is going to be a red-hot contender.
Gordon's going to be the one to beat, 19th to 4th. That's just a class up there.
So Mazda RX-8 Cup putting on a great demonstration for us today at Winton Motor Raceway. Some super close racing. Definitely the category demonstrating that not only is it fun from a driving perspective and affordable to get into, but when it comes to entertainment value, absolutely capable of producing the goods as well. Running through the rest of the top 10, Ben Shaw home in position number 5 in the Optus car. Jack Panaccia in 6th. Terry Lewis getting shuffled back. He'll be a bit disappointed after finishing well up inside the top 5 yesterday, slipping back to 7th today. Miles Bergoglio in 8th position. Ben Silvestro in 9th spot, and confirmation of your top 10 there. Thomas Derwin finishing in position number 10. The final margin, 1st to 2nd, was 3 seconds between Barnes and Lewis.
I think the biggest talking point is going to be Ryan Gorton there, that massive run from 19 up to 4. And Terry Lewis, going back a few positions, started out at 4 down to 7, so he looks like he was really pushing the car there, and he might have created a few errors for himself, gave the opportunity for some of the other drivers to come through as maybe the tyres went away or maybe conditions just changed for him in the car, so he'd be looking to change that up. Jackson Noakes ended up in 11th after coming off the track. William Ham in 12th position, and that does have a 5-second penalty, so that might be why we're seeing back in 12th. Ash McConchie in 13th. Maisie Place back in 14th. David Grice in 15th. Glenn Gamble, and it was Martin Lyle, James Canellis, and obviously Tom Shaw's up here. He didn't actually make the grid. So 18 RX-8s still out there for the Yellow Express RX-8 Cup here this weekend at the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. Let's have a look at some of the highlights, Lachlan, of race number 2.
There were plenty of them as well. We saw that Justin Barnes got a pretty good start possibly not a perfect start. I think out of the cars on the first two rows, it was Justin Lewis who got the best jump, but Justin Barnes had the front row of the grid all to himself. Once we got through turns 1 and 2, though, that was when the battle started, and we saw a massive charge in the early stages for Ryan Gordon coming from the rear of the field to be inside the top 10 after just one lap. This was a good contest. Terry Lewis battling it out, going door to door with Jackson Noakes on the run down to turn 10.
Yeah, you really saw him not afraid to wear those tyres out either. He was sliding the car around. Then it was Luke Webber, though, who came up the outside there. There was opportunity for him just to put his nose in and be part of this three-car battle at a moment where you see the rest of them sitting behind, and you had to get on the brakes hard there. Terry Lewis covered him off, and it gave Noakes an opportunity to just lead out a bit. And then later on, though, Noakes goes off the track, no one else there, and once you grab that dirt on the tyres, it's going to be really hard to get around this track.
We saw some drag races down the main straight. We saw some manoeuvres set up into turn 1 with drivers getting a fantastic exit off the final corner, and this braking duel into turn number 1 with Ben Shaw in the Optus car getting up the inside of Jackson Noakes, and Ryan Gordon said, well, if the door's open, I might as well go straight through it. A few moments here, Jackson Noakes up at turn 9 coming to grief and firing it off the racetrack, falling outside the top 10. This was Martin Lyle having a spin on the exit of turn number 6 and exiting the circuit stage left. In the end, though, comprehensive race victory from pole position for Justin Barnes. He's 2 from 2 so far at Winton Motor Raceway this weekend.
Tom, what was it like to have to sit up here and watch that happen down there?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you did really enjoy it. In the meantime, let's head down to our winners with Stephen White.
Luke Webber, well done. 3rd place. How were you?
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, you're going well. Yep.
Your race was pretty busy, but obviously trouble-free for you, and obviously a great result for you as far as the championship goes as well.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, yesterday wasn't great, and yeah, car's still not great, but good enough to just hold out Gordon. But yeah.
And you think that you could catch the other two in front, Justin, and obviously Terry Lewis was in there at the start, but you've been able to hold that 3rd place.
Yeah, I reckon a few more tweaks, like a little bit more. Yep.
Well done. Excellent. Brilliant. Great result. Thank you. And we'll just move around to actually the series sponsor, the Yellow Express, number 50. And we get Justin Lewis. Justin Lewis, congratulations. 2nd place. How was that?
Awesome. Cool. Very cool. Can't believe I've come into this series and already I'm competitive. Really cool. Must be down to my awesome setup from my brother Terry Lewis, 1992 production car champion. He'll never let me forget that.
So, trouble-free race for you. How do you go for any chance of getting first?
Not really. Juzzy's pretty fast and seems to be a bit of a trend these days with a couple of Justins up the front there. These days, as in the last race. Yeah, no, look, I thought I'd let it settle. Luke was having a good stoush with Ryan Gordon, who I believe is the next Australian legend of behind the wheel. But yeah, I just thought I took it easy a little bit, because we've got 2 more races, we've got to preserve tyres.
No worries. Well done. Congratulations. Thanks very much. And to the winner, Justin Barnes, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thanks for that. That was great fun. I did have a spare spot next to me on the grid because Tom Shaw failed, but that was good. It was good to get the 2nd win in race 2. Yeah.
Trouble-free for you, so obviously race 3 and 4 to come. How are you looking?
We're looking good. The car felt good. I was able to back off a bit, conserve the car. Race 1 yesterday, we had a bent tie rod in and did the whole race with a wheel pointing in 2 inches, so I was surprised we finished. But yeah, no, we're ready for the next ones.
Congratulations. We'll see you in race 3. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, great to have Yellow Express on for the RX8 Cup here for the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series, and of course throughout your entire RX8 Cup Series. Of course, naming right sponsors. Now, Justin Lewis, tell us a bit about him. He, I believe that's about the 4th set of sunglasses I've seen on him this weekend.
Oh, he's got the sunglasses, he's got the shoes, his socks, and he's got the pyjamas as well. They're pretty special.
He's a very big personality, and we love having Justin Lewis as part of the series.
He really brings a bit of character to the series this year, and it's good because you have a lot of serious faces down there. So to see a smile down the other end of the pits is also what you want.
Now, one question that I've got for you, Tom, before you go back down to the RX8 Cup land, is that it's a very tight turnaround. There's only about 60 minutes now before the RX8s are back on track for race 3. How much pressure is that going to put on the teams to get the cars turned around that quickly?
Oh, everyone will be running around with their heads dropped off down there. It's just basically, Lockie, it's just fuel the cars, check the tyre pressures, send them back out. calm down, have some water, and we're good to go.
Yeah, it is good that they are very straightforward cars to maintain, and there's certainly plenty of experienced rotary mechanics floating around in the pit lane this weekend, not least of all your dad, Rick Shaw, who has been, we like to describe him as the rotary renegade because he's had so much experience working on rotaries. Let's head back down to the pits for another update from Stephen.
Harry Tompkins, how are we looking for race 3?
Yeah, looking pretty good. Hopefully we could just get a good start, get out in front like we did yesterday. Hopefully, just pull away like we did.
And the car's been running well this weekend. Obviously, you're pretty happy. You've been running at the front all weekend, so it's a nice busy field, but obviously you're competitive.
Yeah, the car's really fast. My dad's really made it hooked up around this place. Just hopefully I can keep it clean this one and it should be good.
Congratulations. Hopefully you do well. Thank you. We can get the window down, or we might be able to open the door for Jalen. How are we looking for the race today?
We're slowly making our way forward, so just got to get a good start, starting off the front row and, hopefully, get the win. But, I'll be happy just to keep it around the front. We got a little bit of pace, just need to execute on it.
And obviously Harry's had some pace as well this weekend. It'd be a nice tight battle up the front.
Yeah, he's obviously, been the one to beat this weekend. The rest of us are sort of, battling for second place. So, if I can keep with him, I'll be happy. So, yeah.
No worries. Enjoy your race. Thank you. And in third place, or starting third, Brad Verica, been around this category for a while now. Brad, how are you looking for race 3?
Yeah, good. Good, thanks, Steve. We had a couple of... didn't have the pace quite yesterday to match it with Harry at the front there, but we got pole. We know we've got a good car. The heat got to us a bit yesterday, so hopefully we can get it right for today.
Cooler conditions, obviously a bit of cloud cover at the minute, so how does that suit your car?
Yeah, perfect really. So, I'm looking, this is about the same conditions in quali, I'm looking forward to a good run. Yep.
No worries, on third position, good luck. Thank you. And Cadell Ambrose starting off in fourth position. Cadell, how are you looking for the race?
Pretty good, I reckon. I'll see what happens, I suppose. Try and get a decent start off the outside and try and come around maybe because of inside for the next corner and just see what happens.
Got what it takes to run with Brad, etc. up the front?
I think so. We're pretty quick yesterday still. Pretty fast, so...
And how's your car suited to these conditions around a track like Winton? It doesn't get too hot today, obviously a bit of cloud cover, so it's going to be a better day or a better weather condition for your race?
It got pretty hot yesterday. Everything started to get hot, brakes and stuff, but today's probably going to be a bit better, a bit easier for everyone, so yeah.
All right, good luck. Good luck for your race.
Well, it's not far away from firing up these little XLs. Now, we've seen the Masters out on track already, Lachlan, this morning. Now we're going to go through the Trophy Series. But let's have a look at how the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series is going to round out for 2023. And what a fantastic calendar we've got, of course. Winton Motor Raceway here this weekend. I cannot wait to go north to Hidden Valley Raceway, April 29 to May 1.
Super pumped for that one, and that's going to be a long weekend race meeting as well, including racing on the public holiday Monday. So thoroughly pumped for that. And then we've got a couple of visits to the Sunshine State, Queensland Raceway on the 2nd to the 4th of June, and Morgan Park on the 8th and 9th of July. So the weather should be nice and warm up in Queensland at that time of the year as well.
I'm excited. When it's winter down south, we're going somewhere a little bit warmer, so it's going to be fantastic. Then it's to Sydney Motorsport Park for round number 5, October 13 and 14. Now, we are going to have some night racing there under lights, and with the new liveries we've seen this season and the bright lights, it's going to look absolutely fantastic. Good opportunity for everyone to get off work and watch that racing as well. But it's round number 6. We haven't raced there for, well, it's probably been 15 years since we've had a nice race at Calder Park. It's historic. It's got that aura about it when you walk into the venue. I cannot wait to get back there in November.
It'll be the return of national level motorsport to Calder Park, so absolutely pumped for that one. And like you said, we've got the Victorian XL Trophy Series presented by Trick Trailers coming up very shortly. The XLs, there's so many of them in Victoria that we've had to divide them up into 2 separate grids, and Stephen White is down there with Brad James.
We'll have a quick chat to Brad James. How are we looking?
Yeah, looking good so far. Hopefully we can get a few spots in this one.
All right, we won't hold you up very much longer. The race officials are telling us to let him go, so good luck.
Short and sweet there for Steve. The car's about to be released from the dummy grid. But yes, so many XLs that we've had to split them up into two separate fields. The trophy class for the under 40-year-old drivers and the Masters class for the over 40-year-olds. We've already had a couple of races for the Trophy Series this weekend. Brad Berwick qualified on pole position yesterday, Matty, but Harry Tompkins has been the dominant performer in the races so far, scoring a pair of wins.
Yeah, look, he has been super dominant. What I love about when we go through the Trophy Series, though, is the young faces. You go through, very new to racing space. Some of them have got some karting experience. Some of them are just getting into racing for the first time. But so many young faces throughout there, and we're seeing some names come through as well. When we look down there, of course, Blake Tracy, who's going to be starting out of 6th position. He's here with his dad this weekend, racing in the Australian TT cars as well. So it's great to have those families. They're racing in 2 different categories. They're all being part of it. Now, Hyundai Excel Racing is obviously a budget racing category, so everyone can get involved. You go and grab your Hyundai Excel off Marketplace. You basically strip them out there. You're not allowed to do too much to the engines. They're a stock engine, really. You can pull them off. I believe you can, shave the head, make sure it's sealed nice. But they inspect the engines. They make sure that nothing is done there. They've got a little bit of suspension they can play with, and that's about it.
Yeah, they all do run controlled super shock coilover suspension, so there is a bit of adjustability in terms of the suspension. And at a circuit like Winton Motor Raceway, where it's very tight and technical, and you've got a lot of low-speed 90-degree corners, you want to have the car set up so that it's quite pointy in the front end. It's all about getting the car rotated on corner entry as quickly as you can, so that you can get the steering wheel straight enough and get back on the power, because these cars don't produce a huge amount of horsepower, so you have to make the most of what you've got.
What I do like about it is we have seen some big names throughout Australia join the XL Series at random times. We've had some big teams build these cars as well, like DJR built a couple. I think Triple Eight have had a couple of XL cars throughout Australia as well. So many of them getting around the country. There's hundreds of these things.
Indeed, there are. And speaking of supercar teams building them, the car of Blake Tracy has been built by Brad Jones Racing up the road in Albury. So that's one of the cars that's had a bit of supercars expertise in the engineering side of things. And also, if the name Jay Robotham sounds familiar, it's because you might have seen him competing on the streets of Newcastle last weekend in the Dunlop Super 2 Series. But coming back to have a play in XLs, he says that it's good for his racecraft, racing in a category where the cars are so evenly matched, to make sure that he's as mentally sharp as he can be every time he's on the racetrack.
Yeah, so it's great to see them get behind the wheel and mix it up, and probably good for some of our weekend racers here who just be part of the XLs because they're having a bit of fun and they can see how good a race craft they have, I suppose, against some of these professional drivers out there. But it's our Trophy Series for the Hyundai XLs coming out for their 3rd race of the weekend. Let's have a look at this one though, Lachlan.
Harry Tompkins on pole position, Jay Robotham alongside, Brad Berwick out of position 3, young Cadell Ambrose out of grid position number 4, rose to prominence when he beat Daniel Ricciardo in a go-kart race at the Grand Prix a few years ago. Back to Brad James, Blake Tracy, Charlie Nash, who was son of Tickford Racing Supercars team owner Rod Nash, Ashton Katek out of 8th position, back to Toby Waghorn, and then Jake Harewood rounding out the top 10.
Then we see William Suller in 11 as James Lodge after that. Josh Sacco, Caleb Heffron, Chris Harris, Tyler Cheney, Maya Bongiorno, and then it's Ternan Pontjonas and Jack West in position number 19 to round out your field of Trophy XL. So the under 40s, you can see they're getting gridded up. They do have a standing start in this one. It's going to be tight into turn number 1. We can probably fit 4 of these XLs side by side if we really want to rub the paint off of them. We'll wait and find out. The start not too far away. Race number 3 here this beautiful weekend at Winton Motor Raceway for round number 1 of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series.
Watch the cars on the outside. We had Cadell Ambrose mentioned before that sometimes it can be an advantage starting on the outside here at Winton. That's the racing line. That's where the rubber and the grip is. Getting set for a start. Lights out and away we go. Fairly even start from both of our front runners. Second row of the grid, it looks like Brad Berwick just with his nose in front of Cadell Ambrose. Funnel down to turn number 1. The road narrows up. They'll get themselves organised, but it is the driver from the outside who sweeps around Jay Robotham to take the lead as they exit turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, check him out. They're still going side by side in the back of the pack. But turn number 3, we've seen a lot of brake locking up here as races go on, but they managed to file themselves into single file. Looks like we're clean through turn number 3, so they're starting to make their way down to turn 4. We've already got wheels off though in the background there, and it looks like Tompkins may have just dropped the left-hand side in the dirt.
Indeed he did, but managed to gather it up, gets back onto the racetrack and keeps the pressure on at Jay Rotham. Turn number 7 is a good overtaking opportunity here at Winton if you take a shallow approach to the corner, and that's Toby Waghorn a bit further back, sending it down the inside of Charlie Nash at turn 7.
You can see on your screen there the 59 car of Tyler Cheney. That name we saw in the TA2 is a Cheney name as well, so great to see so many of these family names. They're still saying 2 cars wide as we go back through the cleavage section of the track there as they come out of turn number 9. We'll just be rounding out the pack. A bit further down there, it looks like he's quite a bit way down in 16th position.
And yes, of course, his dad, Graham Cheney, competing in at the TA2 Muscle Car Series this weekend. That team making the trip down from Bathurst. There is Jake Harewood in the number 95 car. His dad, Jason Harewood, also a former race driver, used to compete in the Commodore Cup National Series. So, like you say, Matty, it is very much a family affair for a lot of drivers in this category.
See, just a little bit of ripple strip there from Rekka as he goes over. That's got to be rough in a Hyundai Excel as well. Not a lot of suspension travel, but it's here. We look at these great shots as they come down the straight and complete their first lap of racing here. 8 laps to complete to get the win, and they go through turn number 1. They're keeping it nice and sedate at the moment. We're going to see them battle it out. You watch. They don't mind putting the elbows out when it comes to the Excel racing. Hard on the brakes as they turn them in. Front wheel drive car, the back likes to get excited and move around.
They get very light in the back end, and in fact, in some sections of the circuit, you'll see the unloaded or the inside rear wheel lifting right up off the ground, and that's because of the way that these cars are set up to make sure that the front is nice and pointy. 5-speed H-pattern manual gearboxes, standard gearboxes from the Excel road car. Here at Winton Motor Raceway, you obviously you only use first gear off the start. For the rest of the lap, you just use second, third and fourth gears because fifth gear is quite tall. But still a lot of points in the circuit when you are changing gears. We saw a couple of drivers missing gears and losing positions yesterday, so it does teach you that they're very precise with the gear changes as well.
Just looking at Cadell Ambrose hanging off the back of his top 4, looking for a moment on Berwick, and maybe he can make that. He squeezes it up as they come into the corner there, turn number 10. Head down this little back straight. It's a brand new section added on for the national circuit back in about 1997, so it's only been around a bit over 20 years. A big expansion here at Winton Motor Raceway back then, and it was when the supercars came here as well, and puts on some fantastic racing. Here we go. Has a little bit of a look, can't make it happen. It's going to come down to braking day, very even. We might have seen a little bit of daylight under the back wheel there of Verica as well as he goes around that right-hand corner and the run down to turn number 1. This is where it's going to be. How much do the drivers want to risk it? Under brakes as they turn in. He's not going to put the nose in on this one. Gets right on the rear bar though. Tompkins, look at him.
Keeping the pressure on Jay Robotham, our race leader, and fastest lap of the race for Harry Tompkins on lap 2 as well. A minute 42.2, just 2 tenths of a second separating the leaders. Here's a good battle. That's Blake tracing up the inside with Brad James. Toby Waghorn, who's a bit further back than we would expect this weekend, involved in that battle, as well as Verica, again dropping wheels off the road on the exit of turn number 4. Gathers up, manages to rejoin the road. Look at the pressure that Jay Robotham's under at the front of this field, though. You just cannot afford to make even the tiniest of mistakes in this category.
Just in the back end we saw Verica there just do another brake lock here, and how long can he hold out Ambrose at the moment as he'll be looking for any opportunity. We saw that dust come up before when he went off, maybe that's thrown off a little bit, but he's right under the rear bar now. Great battle going on in the background though for 5th position. You can see Tracy James and Waghorn all in there. And how's this going to play out? Have a look. They're in the back of our screen there. We're watching our front runners. Position number 1 at the front there, and it's still Robotham who's leading us out at the moment there, but this is a nice battle for 5th position. They don't make contact. It's hard under brakes as they get through there. It's a tight corner now up on the inside strip there. The number 13 car of Ashton Cuttage.
Ashton Cuttage on debut in the XLs this weekend. He stepped up through go-kart, so another young and very talented driver making the transition into a tip-top form of racing, putting the pressure on the Tickford Racing Hyundai XL of Charlie Nash. Tompkins once again with the fastest lap of the race, getting down to minute 2.2. It's so close here at the front though between these two race leaders. Still just 0.25 of a second from first back to second. This battle is continuing a bit further back. They're going to go 3 wide on the exit of turn number 2. On the outside is Tracy, in the middle is James, and on the inside is Waghorn. Waghorn's going to get 2 spots for the price of 1 here, and it'll be Blake Tracy who's going to get shuffled out high and wide, door-to-door contact with Bradley James. And James Lodge having a sniff up the inside in that all-white number 39 car.
He was back a couple of cars, a couple of car lengths earlier now, but with all that battling going on, he's managed to close the gap up. Now Tracy might want to just take a moment after we've seen how sideways that car was. He was pushed out to wide, there they go 3 wide, gave himself just enough racing room to get around there, so hopefully we won't see any of these numbers come up on our screen. Hopefully that was nice and clean and official like that, because we loved it here. How exciting is it, the Hyundai Excel Trophy Series out on track at the moment?
James Lodge car being run this weekend by Ash Seawood Motorsport. Ash Seawood, a very experienced engineer, done a lot of work overseas, racing in British open wheelers, and then came back to Australia, and we've seen him work as a very successful race engineer and team owner in cars like Porsche Carrera Cup, but more recently he's got involved in Hyundai Excels, and Ash says that it's just as competitive as any form of motorsport that he's ever been involved in.
Well, your top 4 on screen as we come around to complete our 4th lap of race, and we are halfway there. Race number 3 here for the Victorian Hyundai Excel Series at the Hi-Tec Super Series, round number 1, Winton Motor Raceway, and they're enjoying their time out there. Warm conditions yesterday, it's slightly cooler today, and we can see that with the times on track just a few tenths faster and looking a lot more comfortable out there on track as they come around. Now Ambrose has not been able to get on the back of Verica anymore. We've just seen a slight gap open. It's only minor, but he's obviously giving him a little bit of a reprieve at the moment. But look at this. This is fantastic racing further back here for position number 5. There's 4 cars bunched up, 5 to 8. And look at him go.
Oh, big moment, Toby Waghorn. Can he gather it up? Look at, I think as he was correcting the steering, he's accidentally flicked the windscreen wipers on, so I think he was having a bit of an arm wrestling match with the steering wheel there as he tried to rejoin the circuit.
Don't worry about that. They've just broken over the pack. He has to be defensive. Cuts down the inside. Wants to make sure James can't get the inside. On the outside, though, Tracy. And on the inside, it's Lodge. Can he get the move done as they go back towards the left-hander? It's going to be Tracy with the advantage, but we head back to 5th position there. Waghorn still leading out James. Tracy stays in front. He had that inside run there. We turn around. Turn number 9 as they go to 10. There's no horsepower advantage in these cars whatsoever when you come out the corner. You really need to make sure you maximise the drive. Your top 4 up on screen, and they've sort of settled into their race pace at the moment. And look at Verica. He's just gone thousandths of a second faster on that last lap. What's it going to be like as they come around and complete lap number 5 of this race?
The top 4 have definitely compressed up, there's no doubt about that. Only 1.3 seconds separating our top 4 runners at this stage. And what we have seen as well is that just because you get down the inside of somebody doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to take the position, because very often here at Winton, the next corner runs in the opposite direction. We saw that for young James Lodge there as he tried to make the move on Blake Tracy and found himself on the wrong side of the road for the next corner. We've got 3 laps remaining in what has been a belter of an Excel Trophy Series race presented by Trick Trailers here at Winton for round 1 of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series.
Still leading us at the moment, it's Jalen Rabatham out in front in the black number 29. Right behind him is Tompkins, Verica as well. He just dropped off a bit at the moment. I don't know where Cadell Ambrose is. He's opened up a bit of a gap. Maybe something's happened a little bit earlier in the racing lap. Just a moment as he's backed off. Look at that, at 141 they've just gone into there for Verica. So they're starting to get faster and faster as this race goes on. Some of the best times we've seen all weekend here at the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series from the Hyundai Excels.
I definitely think that Brad Verica's car is better suited to the cooler track conditions that we've got today. We saw the whole yesterday morning when the conditions were at their least warm, but then struggled for a bit of race pace in the races that we had yesterday when it got a bit warmer. But this morning, track conditions were a bit cooler again, and Brad Verica's starting to find his groove once again.
Well, there's some very familiar names, aren't they, in the top 5 at the moment as they go round. And looking at Nash, though, he's dropped off a little bit. He started out of position number 7, so he's now moved back to position 11 in this race. We're 3/4 of the way through, and look, this is our top 4 up on your screen. Rounding that out is Cadell Ambrose there in the 194 car, and the wheel is up. There is daylight under it as they come out on the final turn down the main straight to complete another lap in this race. And we go to the second last lap. Maybe Reboffin's just opened up a little bit of a gap there. We're just trying to have a look at the last lap times there. Like, we're talking thousandths of a second is the difference between all of these lap times they go around. We spoke about it before, 1.3 seconds from one before earlier. It hasn't changed. It is staying there. You know, one lap you just see one car get a little bit of an advantage around a corner, then the next car's got a little bit of an advantage around the next corner. So great racing from these top four.
What it really ends up coming down to is who makes the least mistakes. And speaking of mistakes, Robotham might have opened up a bit of a gap, but he's just lost some time by dropping the left wheels off the edge of the curb on the exit of turn 4, and that will allow Harry Tompkins to close in once again.
He cuts that corner a little bit, doesn't he, to try and get that proximity. Can he get on the back bar again? He's got to watch out behind him because Verica now is looking very, very close. Maybe an opportunity if he gets the right drive. He's slightly offline, Tompkins, in the middle of the track, having to get defensive. In the meantime, Cadell Evans now putting pressure on the back of Verica. It could give a reprieve for Tompkins, though, if those two get into a little bit of a stoush in the background. No, move may be made here. He has a look. No, pulls the car back in as they head into turn number 10.
Phases to the inside, and he had a big think about it. I think part of that was probably just wanting to appear in Harry Tompkins' mirrors, but Tompkins just drove it straight down the racing line and was able to hold on to the position. I reckon this is about the biggest lead that Jay Robotham has had all race long, and he's still made less than a second. And then this shows you how close this battle has been between these top 4 cars from the outset.
Fantastic racing here as part of the Victorian Hyundai Excel Series. Round number 1 of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series kicks off here at Winton Motor Raceway this weekend. Great to have everyone joining us out there on the broadcast, and have a look. Robotham will send it into the first corner. Nice and steady as they come out, cannot make a mistake. You see the gap closed up there. It's almost like Tompkins had a dive under brakes into turn number 1, and right behind him, Verica and Ambrose just waiting for anyone at the front to make a mistake so they can try and get past any opportunity.
So I said for a blockbuster finish here in race number 3 of the weekend for Victorian XL Trophy Series presented by Trick Trailers. If anything, Cadell Ambrose has just fallen off the back of these top 3. Oh, big lock-up for Harry Tompkins as he looks down on the inside of our race leader, Jay Robotham. Managed to get the car stopped, but that has given Brad Verica a big incentive. Verica as close as he's been all race long, and it's allowed Cadell Ambrose to come back into this fight as well. Only a couple of overtaking opportunities left. Turns 10 and 11. Let's see if anybody goes for a big send down the inside on this final lap.
Tompkins getting very defensive, make sure he stays in the inside line. Verica, can he do the switch back down here? Oh, it's a bit of a nudge as they come out of turn number 10, and in the back, Ambrose looks like he's going to put the nose in as well. The final corners, 2 more right-handers. Who's going to have a dive under brakes? How keen are they? Oh, he gets right up close. A wheel lock up there for Tompkins. I think that's almost got the wheel in the air. That's why it's locked up. The final corner here, will they have the run into it? I don't think they're going to get it. It's going to be nothing in it. They're going to be thousandths of a second apart over the finish line. Reboffin's going to get the win in race number 3 here for the trophy class of Hyundai Excel Racing. That's going to be Tompkins, Verica and Ambrose. And how close was that, Lachlan? Look at it, just tenths of a second between them across the finish line.
Yeah, between positions 2, 3 and 4, 3/10 of a second the margin. So a seriously tight finish there. Toby Waghorn making it up to position number 5 in the finish ahead of Bradley James, Blake Tracy, Aaron Cattedge, Charlie Nash in 9th position, and Jake Harewood rounding out the top 10. Something must have happened, I reckon, as well to James Lodge in the last couple of laps, because he's gone plummeting down the leaderboard.
Yeah, he was right up there at the start of this race as well. And just having a look, Lodge started out of 12th, so he made quite a few positions at the start and then just started to fall back at the end of that race. Of course, 8 laps here for our trophy class of the Hyundai Excels, and it's great to see our winner out there just getting the cool-down lap done. Reboffin's gets himself a win after being in 2nd place in race number 2 yesterday. So he will start off the front row of the grid in the next race. Of course, one more race for this trophy class of Hyundai Excels. Let's have a look at the results here. Up on your board, the Victorian Excel trophies, of course. Jalen Robotham in 1st, followed by Harry Tompkins, Bradley Verica, Cadell Ambrose, Toby Waghorn in 5th, Bradley James in 6th, and back to Blake Tracy, Ashton Cattedge. Charlie Nash moved back a few positions throughout that race, and Jack Harwood rounding out in top 10.
outside the top 10, coming home in 11th. Josh Sacco back to Caleb Hefferon in position number 12. Jack West in 13th, back to Chris Harris. Michael Cheney in at position number 15. Mia Bongiorno in at 16th position, back to James Lodge, who ended up being classified as a non-finisher in that one, so drama on the final lap. Also problems for William Sala. Trent Jonas also not making the start of the race. Let's have a look at some highlights, Matty, and that was pretty much a case of nose-to-tail action right throughout.
I cannot wait to have a look at these. We head back to the Hi-Tec Oils highlights from the Victorian XL Trophy Class, race number 3 here at Winton Motor Raceway, and it was the start Robotham on the outside. Now, you think that's probably a disadvantage starting out of 2, but you've got a nice run in turn number 1. It squeezes down, and it's who's going to be late on the brakes. You can see the brake lights coming on the inside curb there. Unfortunately, Tompkins doesn't get it, and Robotham gets a nice drive out of 2 and took the lead from there all the way to the finish.
Indeed he did, so he was able to hang tough on the outside through turn number 1, gave him the inside for the next couple of corners. We saw a bit of that dropping wheels off the exit curve at turn 4 throughout the race, and then the top 4 drivers all started to pull away, but they were involved in a battle all the way through. There was some good action in the mid-pack, and we saw some early overtaking moves just outside the top 5 positions. Out the front though, it was Jay Robotham and Harry Tompkins who were battling nose to tail.
And didn't it change throughout the race? They had a little bit of a lead. They're probably about 4 car lengths though on 3rd and 4th place back in Verica and Ambrose, and then as the race went on, that closed right up. But further down, this was the battle for 5th position there, and you saw Tracy hard on the brakes there, a bit of a lock-up. They changed position several times, these 3 as well, and looks like James got the advantage in the end there.
This was exciting, 3 wide into turn 3. It ended up being Toby Waghorn grabbing a couple of positions out of that one. This was also a good contest with James Lodge and Blake Tracy. Lodge trying to get down the inside into turn 7. The problem was he ended up on the outside for turn 8 and had to tuck back in behind Tracy.
But it was all down to our top 4 in the closing parts of this race. There was a few errors there, unfortunately, from Tompkins. You could see the lock up there as they came into the turn, and he did that quite several times, but Verica just couldn't take advantage of it. Wasn't there at the right moments to be able to duck down the inside, and we saw some defensive driving later on in the race. Robotham just in the end opened up himself 1 car length, despite coming off in the dirt, did not back off and drove the car through.
Further back, we saw the battles continuing as well between Charlie Nash, Will Sarwood, James Lodge as well, but it all came down to this ding-dong battle for the podium positions. Jay Robotham able to extend a bit of breathing space on the final lap, but positions 2, 3 and 4 not resolved until they got right to the checkered flag.
I think that vision we saw before with Lodge, a bit of smoke and a bit of bar work hanging out the back of the XL might have told us why he went down the field after such a great start from him as we line up the next cars. But let's, in the meantime, head down to Steve and Pitts.
Down here in the pit lane with the top 3 finishers, and Brad Verica, fantastic effort, close race, obviously very close at the end there. Fastest lap for you, so you're happy with that?
Yeah, look, that probably sums it up, to be honest. I knew that we had the speed and just couldn't quite get past. It was the same yesterday's race. We had good speed, but just couldn't get the job done. So that's racing, you know. It's good to get the fastest lap. That's something. But it's really good racing with these guys. It's good quality. It's clean. Yeah, no, I'm happy with that.
Ready for race 4?
100%, absolutely.
Good on you, thank you. And we'll go down to Harry Tompkins, who was second. Obviously started on pole, and Jalen Robotham got underneath him. Harry Tompkins, how was that result for you?
Yeah, it was actually really good considering we had heaps of braking issues. I couldn't really pull out the car at the end of both straights. So yeah, I'm actually really happy with that second place.
Obviously a bit of pressure from Brad behind you, but obviously you were able to hold him off till the end of the race.
Yeah, he was really getting on the back of me the whole race. He was really pressuring me. I made a couple of mistakes because of it. But yeah, I just had to park it on the inside. And I got to stay front.
Thanks, Harry. See you in race 4. And we'll quickly go around to race winner Jalen Robotham. Congratulations, Jalen. How was that?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Just got the lead at the start, and then try to keep Harry and the boys behind me. So it was good. I'm happy with it.
Well done. We'll see you in race 4. Thank you.
Great to head down and see all of our winners after each race as well throughout the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series, and really bringing a nice dynamic to the series, and hopefully we can spread it to all of our motorsport fans around Australia and the world. And hopefully you're joining us in your lounge room, could be having lunch almost out there, I think. And of course we do head over to our live TV coverage from about 12:40 today. 1 p.m. you'll definitely be on the live coverage. You can check that out obviously on the Fox channels, KO and SBS Iceland.
Indeed. Now, one of the categories that we do have on the program for the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series in 2023 is the Australian Super TT Championship. Now, Super TT has been a long-standing category here at Winton Motor Raceway. It's also become very popular up in New South Wales, and that's because of the variety and diversity of different types of cars that can race in it. So most of the cars that run in Super TT started life as road cars, but they're cars that are owned by enthusiasts who like to tinker with their cars and make modifications in the shed during the week and then come out and have a bit of play on weekends. Up until now, Super TT has run as a state-based category in New South Wales and Victoria, but very excitingly, we now have the Australian Super TT Championship, which is running as part of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series this year. It starts off here at Winton, going to make the trek up to Hidden Valley up in Darwin, and also rounds at Sydney Motorsport Park and Calder Park. Now, this weekend, Super TT running in conjunction with the Stock Cars Australian National Series. So it's a combined grid with Stock Cars and Super TT cars. Stock Cars, you might recognise them as well because they're cars that are very much like cars that you might see racing on ovals over in America, because a lot of them have, including the car of Scott Knight, who will start this race on pole position. He has been the race winner of both of the races that we've had so far this week.
Yeah, Mark Tracy will be there in a second. Danny Burgess and Drew Marchese there. Granger, Edwards and Hourigan will go through to 7th, and it's Michael Ricketts, Ryan Bell and Richard White to round out your top 10 to start on the grid. Of course, your first 5, and Zach O'Hara, David Bunton, Lawrence McKinnon, Mick Pettit, Russell Della, Martin Doxley, Rob Bowden, David Bailey, Michael Heppelston and Aaron Lloyd will be there from 11 to 20. And then, of course, rounding out the final ones is going to be Laurel Bell, Trev Drummond, Damien Gambold, Matthew Thulis, Andrew Goldman and Jason Lee. Of course, a rolling start when it comes to the Australian Super TT Championship as well. We won't see a standstill start. They had done their warm-up lap. As we come around, we hope to see the safety car turn the lights off coming out of turn 10. He will lead away and we get started now. We've got many categories within the Australian Super TT, Lachlan. We're going to touch on them very quickly. Of course, we've got an over 2 litre class, which is then broken down to treaded and slick tyres. We've got an under 2 litre class that's broken down into treaded and slick tyres. And then we've got, of course, the Stock Cars Australia as well. So plenty going on in the background. We had a top 10 shootout for Australian TT Championship as well yesterday, and that was absolutely fantastic. And I think it's going to be Tracy there with that LS-powered BMW, starting out a 2nd position, but probably one of the most exciting cars to be on track alongside these stock cars.
Indeed, and they'll all have strengths and weaknesses in different parts of the track. They do a couple of warm-up laps behind the Hyundai Kona N safety car, and that's because a lot of these cars are running on slick tyres, particularly with the stock cars, just making sure that they have enough opportunity to get temperature into the tyres. That's why they're giving them a couple of warm-up laps. But yes, we've got a mixture of literally everything. We've got rear-wheel drive V8s, we've got 6-cylinder turbocharged cars, we've got 4-cylinder turbocharged cars, all-wheel drives, front-wheel drives, naturally aspirated. You name the mechanical configuration, chances are it's represented in this field.
Well, let's have a look at this. They will form up as they come out of turn number 10. The lights are still on our safety cars. We get them ready to go. Rolling start here for the Australian TT Championship. Of course, with stock cars, John, there we go. The lights come out on the safety car, and we will see that move off the track and head into pit lane. So the cars will bunch themselves up. They'll slow down to around about 60 to 80 kilometres an hour. They'll go side by side. It's 9. Going to be alongside Tracy here for the start. The 2 fastest cars of the weekend. They've been dominant at the front of the field. We get them onto the main straight. They're waiting for a green light. There's so many of them. 26 cars on track at the moment. They'll wait for the last one to come around the corner. The flag will go green, and here we go, racing underway. Race number 3 now, the Australian Super TT Championship. And who's going to make it in turn number 1? 9 with the power. Looks like he's going to get it in turn first. Tracy's going to be chasing him down, and the Oz trucks, well, they battle it out side by side, coming out of turn number 2.
big battle between Danny Burgess and Robert Marchese coming out of turn number 2, and also Josh Hourigan, who gets up the inside of Marchese into turn 3. Good racing room and respects being shown by all of these drivers. You will notice that the stock cars in particular, they're very fast in a straight line because they've got plenty of horsepower, but their weakness is under brakes and through the corners, and that's where some of the Super TT cars have gobbled them up. And oh, that's a big off Mark Granger in the AU Falcon V8, having a very high-speed off-track excursion at turn 5. The sweeper throws up a big cloud of dust, and hopefully he can rejoin the circuit safely up at turn 7.
Just having a look around and make sure that is going to keep going by the looks of it. It's our first lap of racing here, of course. 10 laps to be completed and 9 still in the commanding lead. Look at the power these cars have when they get onto those straights. Obviously, they brake a lot earlier than we see from our Super TT cars, so that is the difference. We give them these little bits of straight, they will leave them out there with a lot later braking. Rob Bowden in the background, the number 1, the BMW, the under 2 litre class, looks like he's getting overtaken by some of the big horsepower cars now. A bit of tape hanging off the Evo as well. I want to have a look at that one.
That's Trevor Drummond's car. So he was actually a retirement with some mechanical problems in the previous race. So good to see that car back out there. He's involved in a battle with Russell Deller in the EA Falcon a bit further back. As they complete lap number 1, it's Scott Knight, your race leader. Here's a good battle. Brett Edwards, the turbocharged 6-cylinder BA Falcon, down the inside of Michael Ricketts in the 2-litre Nissan Pulsar, which has been built by Jordan Cox Motorsport. Michael Ricketts is thoroughly enjoying his racing this weekend, and he's going to do the full Australian Super TT Championship in that car.
David versus Goliath there, I think, as they go down. Unfortunately, some mechanical issues yesterday for the Falcons, so hopefully that does not come into play today. Still 9 leading us out. You can see Tracy behind. Let's head back. Of course, it's the 405 car now. Aaron Lloyd and the Dino stopping on track for one of our stock cars.
Richard White, car number 3. That's a shame because he was having a really good weekend up to that point. Cracked inside the top 10 outright in the previous race. And unfortunately, that Chevrolet Lumina has ground to a halt on the racetrack. And if that car can't get moving under its own steam, we will see an appearance from the Hyundai Kona N safety car.
Really does give you that NASCAR feel, doesn't it? The Dale Earnhardt style livery on the side of that car, and it brings some emotion together. And imagine what they're going to be like in round 6 when we go down the court. Like, it's really going to take those cars probably to their home in Australia. I cannot wait for that.
Oh, it's going to be awesome, isn't it, to have stock cars back at Calder Park for the first time in many, many years. The safety car has been called, so our clerk, of course, Andrew Wilton, has decided that that car is going to need to be retrieved by the very hard-working team of volunteers that we have here at Winton Motor Raceway. Massive thank you to all of our volunteer flag marshals, fire rescue and recovery crews, and the officials in race control as well for keeping these race meetings running smoothly and efficiently.
Well, let's have a look at some of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series highlights here from the Australian TT Championship, and it was to kick things off, and wow, he really got out in the dirt, didn't he?
Mark Granger there at turn number 5, running right off the racetrack. It is quite dry here at Winton Motor Raceway, so you see the dust getting kicked up. He managed to rejoin the circuit on the approach to turn number 7. Brent Edwards using the turbocharged acceleration of the BA Falcon to launch down the inside of Michael Ricketts on the main straight. Really, really good to see Brent Edwards having a good run with that car this weekend. They've had some reliability problems over the last 12 to 18 months since they installed the turbocharger.
Yeah, Ricketts gave him a nice bit of racing room as well to lead him through. That is an SR powered turbocharged Nissan Pulsar S14. It's going to be very agile around the back half of this track through turns 7, 8 and 9. Looks like we're just looking for a tow point now from our safety crew as they get out there, and we need to get this car off track. We don't want to keep this in the safety car position because they are completing laps. We are time certain here today only on Sunday, so we need to make sure we get these done and get the car out of the position so we can get back underway with racing. Our officials wanting to make sure they get as many laps in as possible. Big weekend here for the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series, and a big shout out to George Gambino and the crew for being part of this, creating this brand new series that's going to travel across Australia as well to so many tracks. In the meantime, let's head down to Stephen Pitts.
Thanks very much, Matt. So as we look at the car, Richard White, the number 3 Earnhardt car, I see Jeff Greck here, the technical advisor for the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series for 2023. Jeff, obviously looking through the pits and looking through the cars in pit lane.
Oh, absolutely, mate. I can't believe it. They're a ripper car. I mean, really well engineered. As you saw yesterday, one had a fairly big impact. They repaired it overnight. He's back out on the track. So I think they're a fantastic thing.
What's your role with the series this year? Is it to be working with the different categories along the way as the series goes on?
Yes, it is. So I just go around and, if any assistance, like that one yesterday that was in a bad accident, just had a look, made sure it was all right.
All right, we're back to racing, back to race control. Thank you.
Safety car is in and we're back underway. Nine's going to lead us out. Single file restart. Tracy's not going to be able to catch him down the straight. Look at the big horsepower there as he goes down. And of course you've got to watch out for those Oz trucks behind as well, the big wings on the back. But you see how early they have to brake compared to Tracy as he pushes the BMW through turns 1 and 2. In the background there they get through. No one really pushing down. And have a look under brakes here though for position number 4. It's going to be Keezy. Has a look. Maybe you can get it done. Look at that Evo, a bit of tape hanging off after that incident yesterday. Or are they just some winglets on the side? Maybe looking for a little bit of aero out here to get around track. I really love these production cars though we see throughout this category, Lachlan, because they're the cars that we drove. Some of us, they're cars you can buy as well, and they turn them into these race cars, and they really resonate with you at home when you know those cars have been part of your family, or just something that you may have had, something you're really inspired to have in.
But at the same time, you can also go and have a bit of fun with playing around with them at home, tinkering in the garage, like I said. So that's why the category has such widespread appeal. We saw at the race start there, the Scott 9 absolutely bolted, and there's a good reason for that. The engine in his car is a genuine Roush Yates NASCAR motor, so it's been imported from the US, and we know how much horsepower those motors produce now.
If you don't know the name Roush, I guess you should Google it. It will tell you everything you need to know. It's just got it's got a number with lots of zeros behind it for the horsepower. Right, so it's all you need to know is they slide them out there in the back one. Burgess really getting loose in the Oz truck there, trying to chase down Tracy, but Tracy's really got that corner exit speed. Once they get themselves set up there, you can see the Oz trucks get down there now. I'm having a look. Trev Drummond looks like he may have got a penalty here in position number 9.
30 seconds as well, so can only imagine that it might be for a safety car restart infringement, or maybe for overtaking under yellow flags. We won't leave that up to the ever hard-working officials in race control to sort that one out. Brent Edwards, number 18 cable source. BA Falcon, and there is Scott 9, beautifully presented car, the number 16 car. Oh, Lawrence McKinnon off the road at turn number 1 in the XE Falcon, gathers it up and gets back onto the track. That car running in the stock cars Diamond Muscle division this weekend.
Yeah, going back to a bit of it, could be a street stop there. We need to remind him we're doing circuit racing this weekend. Just keep it on the pitch and slid the car around. Big car to have sideways there. Rob Bowden in the background. He's obviously the number 1 when it comes to the under 2 litre class as well. He's doing a fantastic weekend and leading that category at the moment.
Scott 9 ahead of Mark Tracy and Danny Burgess. Mark Tracy, plenty of experience here at Winton, lives just up the road at Albury Wodonga, owns the Twin City Roll Doors business that he is on the side of that car. And not only does he own this V8 now BMW E36, but he also owns next to Hi-Tec Motorsport V8 supercar, which we see him racing in the Super 3 Series.
Very competent racer, but it's just can't match the Roush power as they go down the straight. Let's check out some of the Hi-Tec Oils highlights from this race so far.
And that is McKinnon bowling wide at turn number 1. Actually did a pretty good job, Matty, of gathering that up and getting back onto the racetrack without losing too much time, but he has dragged a fair bit of dust onto the circuit.
You hope for that won't impede any of the races. The big thing for me is he did not take out the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series sign. We do not want him taking out the series signage. We love seeing that up on the TV.
We certainly do. Actually, the drivers so far this weekend, they've been pretty well behaved in terms of dodging that signage whenever they've had an off-track excursion. This is a good battle. We saw this in the previous race as well. The 2 Nissans going at it, but you've got rear-wheel drive 6-cylinder Nissan 370Z of Ryan Bell and the 4-cylinder front-wheel drive Pulsar of Michael Ricketts.
I wonder whether power to weight has got to be fairly insane. You've got a Jordan Cox racing car, you know what he does at TCR as well. So he's got plenty going on there, and I'm sure they've got that car set up for this weekend. There's 9 still leading our race on the screen there, followed by, of course, Tracy in the background, in 3rd place Burgess up your screen in the Oz truck. The number 7, can he chase him down? He's got the power down the straight, but he's got to be able to get the car turned. They're not as nimble as the BMW of Tracy. So third place up on your screen here. It is obviously race number 3 of the Australian Super TT Championship, combined with the Stock Cars Australia this weekend for round number 1 of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. And it's fantastic to have these categories doing the rounds and being an Australian series where they have been mainly state-based before.
Indeed it is, and I think what you'll find with the Australian Super TT Championship is that as we travel around the country, the regular races who are competing every round, they'll be augmented by locals who will come and compete at their specific events. So up in Darwin, for example, I know that they've got quite a big contingent of crew production and Commodore Cup cars, so we might see some of those cars joining the grid for the Australian Super TT Championship. So they'll certainly be eligible.
It's going to be a great variety up there. Of course, they got the Crocodile Cup running up there. Where else would you have a Crocodile Cup but Darwin, Northern Territory? But racing on track at the moment, he goes right out on the edge there. It is Mark Ranger and his AU Falcon after that earlier incident where he went off and had a little bit of a detour out on the grass in 10th position at the moment.
So laps traffic starting to become a bit of a factor here as well, Matty, because of the high discrepancy in speed between the fastest and the slowest cars in the field. Our leaders are starting to catch up to and putting laps on some of the tail-end runners.
Just having a look through some of our under and over 2 litre class to see where they are starting to find their way in the field. You can see our E36 BMWs, which are non-turbocharged in the background. And yeah, going through the lap traffic at the moment, and 9, no drama at all, isn't he? He is just getting lap after lap. He's been very, very clinical in getting this car around at the moment, not making mistakes. Of course, we are on the 8th lap of 10, so we're getting through this race. He's coming through one of those under 2 litre BMWs in the background, and
Aaron Lloyd puts a lap on him. Those BMW 318 highs obviously don't have a huge amount of horsepower, but they have very nimble handling, and where they are particularly strong is in wet weather conditions. I remember last year we had a wet race for Super TT here at Winton. Rob Bowden managed to finish second outright, because obviously when it starts raining, the horsepower advantage is pretty much nullified for all powerful cars.
And another one of those races within a race is obviously the E36 category, that they all keep track of where they are, and that's its own little championship going on within the Australian Super TT Championship, as well as more lap traffic, and probably a bit of an advantage there for Burgess there as he closes the gap up on Tracy in the BMW. Obviously that car in the background, that's Lloyd. We've already seen 9 to go through. So there's battle for position number 2 at the moment, and loose just a little bit again, as you'd expect that from the Oz trucks. There is not a hole in the body. They need the speed for the aerodynamics of the rear wing to really push the back of the car down into the ground. So going through those corners, probably not their strong point. As we see Tracy there with the LS-powered E36 BMW. Definitely a lot more nimble there as he pulls up and gets through. But this is your race leader. Thanks to Thermo King. Out in front, Scott 9 on. No, he's off the track again there for Mark Ranger. Some issues there with the AU Falcon. Dragging a hold of the dirty set, just come out of the car under brakes. It's going to store up under those back bumpers as well if it's not shielded off. And every time we get some brakes, we're going to be dropping rocks and dirt out onto the track. So we need to watch for that.
And that was pretty much the same part of the circuit where he came to grief on lap 1 of the race. So a few struggles, unfortunately, for Mark Ranger in this race. Here's a good battle between a couple of Oz trucks. So you've got Josh Hourigan and also Robert Marchese. Josh Hourigan and his brother Brendan Hourigan are both going to be racing in this stock cars category in their Oz trucks, but they're also going to be competing in the Legend Cars Australia Series, which you will see in action at some upcoming events for the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series.
Quite a tall fella as well. You get him in those little Legend cars, we have to squeeze a bit of a shoehorn, get the shoehorn out and get him in there. Good to see him competing here this weekend at Stock Car Australia. Now the Lotus Elise in the background, obviously a lap car down there, but that is a fun little package to get around as well. It is very nimble out on track, of course. David Bunsen there.
And it runs the supercharged 2.4 litre Honda motor, which has become a very popular engine of choice for a lot of Lotus motors. They came out originally with 1.8 litre K Series Rover engine, but those engines have a bit of a reputation for some unreliability, so a lot of owners have chosen to go for an engine that's not just more reliable but more powerful as well.
Easy, just dropped the wheel off there a moment before we changed our vision there, and you can see our leader 9 just getting a lap down there on one of our BMWs getting around the track at the moment. That looks like David Bailey going a lap down for 9 as we're on the final lap of race number 3 for the Australian Super TT Championship here at the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series Winton Motor Raceway. They've completed 9 laps of this 3 kilometre national circuit here. 12 turns, he's down to the last 10. Even less, he's down to the last 8 turns to get this car around. So go through the sweep with a big left-hander, and it's right on the edge. You can see the body roll on the car as they go round, and sets himself up back through the cleavage section of the track here in the back section. We'll go through the corners. You might just see some of the more nimble cars catch him at this point. Looks like Tracy's dropped back. You can just see a glimpse of Tracy there in the background, still holding on to second position over Burgess in the number 7 Oz truck. 3 small straights to go as 9 winds up the RPM in the VA. We've got everything for the fans here, don't we, Lachlan? You've got big VA power, side exhaust. We've got the supercharged Hondas with a big whine. We've got the BMWs out there. It's all happening here at the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. 9 comes down the inside of one of the lapped cars there, and it's Bowden. Unfortunately, Rob there in the under 2 litre class treaded section doesn't have the power for 9 as he comes onto the straight. It looks like he's going to get his 3rd straight win here this weekend in the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series Australian Super TT Championship.
Big win for Scott 9, but there was a lot going on in that race, wasn't there? Battles right up and down the field across all of the different classes. Variety and diversity, it's what we love in the Australian Super TT Championship. Mark Tracy comes home in 2nd, but significantly he will win the Super TT over 2 litre slick tyre class in his BMW E36.
Hourigan will come home in 4th in that truck, followed by Marchese in 5th position, and they had a nice battle throughout this. Oh, this one's going to be good. They're not letting each other go. The 2 Nissans are going to go at it in the final moments of this race, and look at them side by side. They head into the final corner. He gets a move done there. Michael Ricketts in the Nissan Pulsar, but he goes wide, and it looks like maybe Bell's going to get him back over the finish line. What a final there between Bell and Ricketts. It's exciting all the way. And Ricketts gets the win, crosses the line first.
By 0.03 of a second, it was a drag race to the line between those 2 drivers, and they will have thoroughly enjoyed that contest. Michael Ricketts coming up out of the Pulsar Series. Ryan Bell on debut in Super TT this weekend, having stepped up from club-level super sprint type events in that Nissan 370Z.
Ross Wood missing this weekend, of course, his R31 Sky. Wouldn't have been good to see those 3 together, but unfortunately found some mechanical issues coming into the weekend, only days out, and didn't get that car fixed. But look, we're going to see some great close battling throughout this series as we take it around the country. Can't wait for the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series to come to a track near you, and we are following the warmer climates, I suppose, as winter comes in, so it's going to be fantastic. Darwin at the end of April, the May Day long weekend up there. But in the meantime, let's have a look at the results here from the Australian Super TT and Super Stock race number 3, and it's Scotty 9 in position number 1, gets himself his 3rd win out of 3 races. Mark Tracy then, Danny Burgess, Josh Hourigan, Robert Marchese. They're the 2 trucks that fought it out there for position number 4. Brent Edwards and Michael Ricketts and Ryan Bell all went down to the line there, and unfortunately, and Ricketts in the Nissan Pulsar got the win for that one for position number 7. Trev Drummond then it was in position number 9 before we went back to Granger in 10.
Zach O'Hara, big supporter of stock cars. He's the category manager for the Stock Cars Australia National Series, bringing his Repco sponsored car home in position 11. Back then to Horace McKinnon. Mick Petite in 13th position, the final car on the lead lap. We went back to Russell Della in the AA Falcon. Rob Bowden, Marvin Doxey in the Holden Astra production car. David Maley back to Michael Templeton in the XG stock car. Aaron Lloyd, and then David Bunton in the Lotus Elise, completing the top 20 ahead of Laurel Gall. Unfortunately, some non-finishers with Jason Lee, Richard White, Damien Gamble, Matthew Hewlett, and Andrew Golden not making it to the checkered flag.
So we'll have to go through some of those results up on our screen, because obviously we've got the under 2 litre, over 2 litre, then we break them down between the treaded tyres and the slick tyres as well. So if you ever get an opportunity to come to one of the races, you can really see the difference in the tyres that they pick out there. Of course, we're going to see our top 3 very shortly down here for this race as the rest head back to their pits, because they've still got one more race this afternoon. And don't forget, we'll head to that over to our live coverage on TV a bit later. In the meantime, let's check out the Hi-Tec Oils highlights of race number 3 of the Australian Super TT Championship race. And no surprise, Scott 9 there with the power of the Roush V8 gets it down into turn number 1, and Tracy has to concede there. But look at the trucks behind, and Burgess went at it with Hourigan there, and wow, they were side by side into turn number 1. Everyone else seemed to find their spot. See Bowden up on your screen, the number 1 BMW E36.
problems for Mark Granger at turn number 5 on the opening lap, just going a little bit wide there off the road. Thankfully for him, he was able to rejoin at the circuit on the approach to turn number 7. That threw a lot of dust up onto the racetrack. Some mechanical problems for the number 3 machine of Richard White, the Chevy Illumina, grinding to a halt on the racetrack. That brought out the Hyundai Kona N safety car to bunch up the field.
Yeah, really put them back into perspective. We only had one lap of racing completed at that point, halfway through the second lap, and you can see him on the restart. Tracy wanted to make a move there, I think on 9, but you know that power of the car in front, impossible to make a manoeuvre there, and it's back into turn number 1 where it's very, very narrow, and they gave each other a bit of racing room there. No one taking the dive down in the top 5 there at that point, and here we go. Granger again on the inside, and unfortunately just ran out of traction there. The car spun out back on the dirt for the second time and pushed him back down another position.
Trying to go down the inside there of Trev Drummond, that blocks the rear brakes on the approach to turn number 7. Rotated off the circuit. Scott Nimes, though, another decisive race win for the driver of the number 16 stock car. 3 wins from 3 races for him so far at Winton this weekend. Mark Tracy coming through to win the Super TT class.
In the meantime, let's head down to our winners, though, in pit lane with Stephen.
Top 3 places for the stock cars and Australian Super TT Championship. Danny Burgess, how was that?
Yeah, good. Hot and sweaty work, but yeah, car went well, so yeah, happy with it.
Pretty trouble-free race for you. Obviously, they're running in 3rd.
Yeah, pretty good. I don't think I've got anything with these blokes, so just circulating on my own, but no, it was good fun.
Well done, no worries. We'll head off to Mark Tracy, who is first into the Australian Super TT Championship class in the BMW V8. Mark, well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
How was your race?
Yeah, it's a good race. I've got half the horsepower of these guys, so just trying my best to stick with them and make it a real good race.
Obviously, this is home, really, for you, Albury, so doing well here, and obviously the car's competitive here against these NASCARs.
Yeah, when I seen them on the grid, I thought I'll like stir them up, get in between them. They got huge horsepower, but I tend to pick up a lot of time through the tighter stuff, so yeah, it was a good race, and the safety car brought it back. Yeah, it was good fun.
Well done, no worries. We'll see you for race 4. Well done.
Thank you.
And we'll move over to Scott Nine now, driver of the 16 Roush engine Mustang. Here we are, Scott, well done.
It was hard work out there, got bucket tyres. Anyway,
really, you're in a local area too, like Mark, so home track for you, so obviously a nice advantage here.
Yeah, we don't get enough practice in because it's hard work to get the car out all the time, but we enjoy coming to Winton. It's the best track.
No worries. We'll look forward to seeing you in race 4. Thank you.
Great to see our top 3 down there, and Stephen catching up with all the action throughout the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series, and we see that they are a little bit puffed after that race. Not as warm as yesterday though, Lachlan. We're seeing the cloud cover today, giving the cars a little bit of a reprieve. Our top 3, no surprise. There's pretty much been every race when it comes to the Australian Super TT and Street Stock Australia Championship racing here this weekend, but the big one for me is going to be that Mark Granger and that AU Falcon dropped back a couple of positions there, and Trevor Drummond had that penalty against his name. That might have been for that incident we saw in the highlights. In the meantime, though, we had him out earlier on track. It was the Yellow Express RX8 Cup. We haven't given them much time to turn around. They've got 8 laps to go in this one. Race number 4 of their weekend from memory. And look, we can't wait to see these out on track. It was fantastic racing last time, and it's going to be door to door again.
Indeed it is. So we've had 2 races so far for the Mazda RX8 Cup, and Justin Barnes has been victory in both of those races. He'll be on pole ahead of Justin Lewis. Luke Webber out of 3rd spot. Ryan Gordon, big charge from him in the previous race. He'll line up on the 2nd row for this one. Ahead of Ben Shaw, back to Jack Panaccia. Miles Bergoglio out of 7th, back to Ben Silvestro. Thomas Durwood and Jackson Noakes rounding out your top 10 starters.
Terry Lewis out of 11 this time. We saw what a move he's made earlier, but fell back in the last race. Ash McCotchie from New Zealand over here this weekend, competing with us in the RX8 Cup. William Ham then in 13th. Maisie Place, David Grice, Glenn Gamble, Martin Lyle, James Canellis, and Tom Shaw is not in the race. We've only got 18 cars this one. Unfortunately, if you've only just joined us on the coverage, Tom Shaw did an engine last night. They hurt that. They actually drove overnight to get another one. They had to do about 600k return trip. They've got that in the car. It is not working for them this morning. So that is a huge loss, considering this is the 2nd round of their Yellow Express Championship, and it's going to hurt him in the points when he came into this round leading.
Indeed it is. So He managed to get the car to the finish line in second position in race 1 yesterday, but the 3 non-start 0-point score results from the remaining 3 races of the weekend are going to be very, very costly, especially when Justin Barnes, his main points rival at this point, has scored 60 points from the weekend so far. Race wins are worth 30 points apiece. We saw an absolute belter, didn't we, in the previous race? Let's see what they can turn on for us in this one.
Yellow Express RX8 Cup race number 3 here on Sunday of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series round number 1. And Justin Lewis has been really fast off the start there, the series sponsor himself, racing in the category. And his 4th race meeting here this weekend as well. And what can he do? We know Barnes likes starting out at 2. It seems to be an advantage, but look at this. Gordon's already made the move up. Look at that, into second position from 4th. We've seen him come from 19th to 4th in the previous race. He's going around the outside. This one's going to be interesting. Can't get the move done, though, on Barnes, and Barnes will lead us coming out of turn number 2, but they're side by side in the back of the field, and just having a look as they go through. Looks like nice and clean. No one's come off track there at this point. Hard under brakes into turn number 3, and a dive down the inside there, it looks like, by Maisie Place. Gets the move done and gets another position.
What a start from Ryan Gordon from grid position number 4. Absolutely launched off the line. Moved up to second by the time they got to turn 1, and is now putting some serious pressure on our race 1 and 2 winner, Justin Barnes. He'll look up the inside at turn 7. The rear end skips sideways as he jumped on the brakes, but he gets the move done. Ryan Gordon takes the lead of race 3 of the Yellow Express Mazda RX-8 Cup with a scintillating start.
Well, he's not going to have much overtaking to do once he leads this race. How much faster will he be? He's interested to see the lap times as they come around. Further back down the field, looks like Maisie might have just lost that position back, though. It looks like the number 61 car there of Martin Lyle might have got that position back there over Maisie. Great to have her back in the RX8 Cup this weekend. Of course, a rotary mechanic by day and working on many of them here this weekend. We saw her doing a gearbox here in the weekend. Terry Lewis now, who dropped back starting out of position number 11 now, working his way through the field and really aggressive at the start of the race, but he fell off at the end of last race. We'll have to see how he goes in this one. Still plenty of action going on. You can see it's going to be Martin Lyle there in the... Oh, he's on the outside, out on the dirt.
McConchie was on the inside there into turn number 11, and Lyle opened up the steering at the very last minute because McConchie had his nose where Lyle would not have been expecting it. Big beneficiary out of all of that was Maisie Place. She was actually able to pick up a couple of spots as a result of those cars coming together in front of her. But it is Ryan Gordon, your race leader, by 1.2 seconds after the opening lap ahead of Barnes. Then it's Justin Lewis back to Luke Webber, and Jack Panacci are in 5th.
Just having a look at Terry Lewis, who's still in 11th position up on our screen at the moment, fighting hard. Our race leader Gordon has led them away. It'll be interesting to see what this lap is all about. Justin Lewis, in the meantime, has got past Barnes at some point and is now in second position in the Yellow Express RX8 Cup. Barnes relegated to 3rd position in the number 44. Behind him, Webb as well, under pressure now. Have a look at this in the background there. They are really going to fight this out. Panaccia looking for any gap to go past, sets himself up for the turn coming out of number 9. Can he get the run down to turn 10? In the meantime, in the background, we can still see plenty. Terry Lewis there, the rotary motion entry.
He's battling it out with Jackson Noakes at the moment. Both of those drivers just outside the top 10, or Jackson Noakes is currently in position 10. We saw that he lost some spots in race 2 earlier on with an off-the-track excursion at turn number 9. So both he and Terry Lewis trying to work their way back through the field at the moment. And Justin Barnes, he has lost a spot. So Justin Lewis passed him, and Barnes now finds himself under some pressure from Luke Webber.
Yeah, dropping back a little bit over Justin Lewis. Surprising to see after the last race. Maybe we're going to see that difference in the tyres where they need to make them last a little bit longer at this point. Not everyone putting a fresh set on for the weekend. Maybe he's hurt them a little bit in the last race where he's been so dominant the first 2 races actually this weekend. Makes up a little bit of room there. We've watched the field go through. Under brakes here though, Justin Lewis turns the car in nicely. The man with a van. Only this time it's an RX-8. He's not going to fit too much in the back of that, I wouldn't think. Maybe all those different sunnies that he wears.
I think you could fit a set of spare wheels in for track days in the back of an RX-8 with a bit of imagination perhaps. Justin Barnes coming under some pressure here from Luke Webber from Cootamundra in regional New South Wales. He was one of the big improvers in RX8 Cup last year, Luke Webber, and keen to establish himself as a genuine championship contender in 2023. And around the outside of Justin Barnes through turn 8. If he can stay there, he'll be on the inside for turn 9, but Barnes shuts the door.
Jack Panaccia in the background though, can he take advantage of these two scousing it out at the moment, as it looks like Webber looking for any opportunity he can. Lewis gets a reprieve for just a moment, opens up a car length going down to turn number 10 as he pulls the car in nicely. And look at this, Webber goes out wide, the car slides just a little bit. We don't see any dust kick up from the back wheel, so he's managed to keep that on the ripple strip and the runoff there. Noakes still under pressure from Terry Lewis in the background. That's going to be a fantastic battle as this race progresses, of course. We are on lap 3, just coming around to complete it now. 3 laps completed of this 8-lap race here for the Yellow Express RX8 Cup. And the man himself, Justin Lewis there, the man with the van, in second position, but under attack from Barnes, who's got Webber behind him in Panaccia.
Ryan Gordon has absolutely bolted. 4.1 seconds his lead after 3 laps. Last time around, a minute 38.1. Everybody else was in the mid to high 39. So Ryan Gordon, pace, a massive pace advantage over the rest of the field at the moment.
Got to have a look at Barnes in the background. I think those tyres, maybe we've been looking after them throughout the race, because he applied a fair bit of pressure coming out of 3 and 4 now. Seems to be where he's got a nice advantage over Justin Lewis. Still plenty going on in the background here, and it looks like we've got David Grice now, who's down the field a little bit, but he's got to watch out, because right behind Gricey, he's got someone coming to take him on. Of course, it's Lyle actually taking on Gricey down the back in 14th position.
Good to see Jamie Canellis back out on the track, although, as I say, that unfortunately the Raceway track time Mazda RX-8 has made its way back into the pits. They've been struggling with a few mechanical issues with that car all weekend. Justin Barnes gets the move done on Justin Lewis, so back up into second position. Here comes Luke Webber looking down the inside of Lewis as well. Doesn't have the room to get through at turn number 10, but Webber definitely showing a good turn and speed at this stage of the race.
Looked like a tiny puff of tyre smoke coming out the back of Lewis's car there. There's a heavy under brakes in the background though. His brother Trevor Lewis alongside Noakes as they come out of turn number 10. That's going to be an exciting little battle to watch as this goes on. But it looks like now Barnes has got himself into the groove, and that car really coming into its own now as they head back down to complete another lap here. It's race number 3 of the Yellow Express RX8 Cup. Let's have a look at the Hi-Tec Oils replay, and this looks like the overtaking manoeuvre there. Justin Lewis was in second position. Oh, there you go, made a mistake under pressure there. I didn't see any contact, but there will work for Barnes to take that opportunity. Just grabs the windscreen wipers for a moment there, and he'll settle himself in. I'm sure that's going to be a hard position for Justin Lewis to get back.
It's like a bit of a weird moment there for Justin Lewis, maybe just suffering a bit of an understeer there, and went to correct it heading into turn number 7. But anyway, it has cost him a position to Justin Barnes. One of the things with these cars, Matty, is that they do have ABS brakes, and from a driving perspective, what that means is that you can basically carry the brake pedal all the way to the apex of the corner, because the ABS does the modulating for you.
Well, I can see Justin Lewis just then on our screen. Look at the oversteer there as he slides the car out of turn number 7. Lewis is really wrestling with the Yellow Express RX8. He's going to have to watch because Luke Webber's right behind him. The man from Cootamundra, he's going to try and get this manoeuvre done in the next 4 laps and can get himself on a podium position once again. We saw some great results from him earlier. 3rd in race number 2 previously today. It was only about an hour ago we had them out on track, so they've had just enough time to check the cars over, cool their bodies down and get back in the race car and suit it up for this one.
Saw Ben Shaw there on screen as well, currently running in at 6th position. It's been a quietly consistent weekend. He's just steadily accumulating points. Another relative newcomer to racing who has managed to attract Optus as a sponsor for his Mazda RX-8 campaign. So that's a big coup, not just for Ben, but for the series, to attract a sponsor of the calibre of Optus to the series.
Just goes to show how entertaining these vehicles are as they get out on track. And now Barnes just opening that gap over Lewis, who is sliding all over the track, giving us a whole heap of excitement to watch on your screens here. Webb can't take advantage of it. Panaccia in the background just with a little bit of a gap, and then it's Ben Shaw now. Can he get the Optus RX-8? Yes, he can. It's written on the side of his car. We head back though, and it looks like Lewis has got there over Noakes now, moved up into 10th position. He dropped back in the last race, started out of 4th in race number 2, but Noakes is not going to let him get away. Look at this, a puff of smoke. It almost looks like a whole heap of fuel there in the 13B came out of the exhaust. We're used to seeing the lick of flame. That time it wasn't. It was definitely a puff of smoke coming out. Hopefully we don't have any issues there for Terry Lewis. He's maybe battling with something in that car.
It is one of the characteristics of these RX-8s. Occasionally, particularly on the upshift, you will see a puff of smoke out the exhaust of these cars, so fingers crossed it's nothing too serious. Winton Hand starting to buy his way into that contest as well, having his most competitive run of the weekend so far. But Terry Lewis now finally seems to be easing out a bit of breathing space over Jackson Oaks as we take a look back to our Kiwi import. Ash McConchy battling out with David Dryce and also Martin Lyle. Caught up with Ash a bit earlier on this morning, and he said that even though he also races a Mazda RX-8 over in New Zealand, the cars do have some slightly different mechanical specifications. You're allowed to make more modifications to the cars in New Zealand compared to the ones here in Australia, and he also said that he is taking a bit of time to get used to the hot track temperatures that we have here in Australia. As you can imagine, it's quite a bit warmer than it is over in NZ.
He's got to watch out for Lyle as well, as he's trying to make a move. Bryce has got it done over him, but yes, warm conditions yesterday, much more favourable for the drivers in the cars today with this overcast conditions. Plenty of cloud cover here at Winton Motor Raceway on this Sunday. It's round number 1 of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series for 2023 as we take it nationally. We cannot wait to head up to Darwin, where it's going to be nice and warm up there for the Crocodile Cup at the end of April. The May Day long weekend, we go over that weekend, racing for 3 days. On your screen though, you see Gricey's just got past McConchy there about half a lap ago, and now he's under fire from Lyle. Can Lyle get the move done? Barnes still in second position. Up on your screen now behind him, Lewis is holding on to third position. Webber now needs to watch out for Panaccia in the background, and Benny Shaw just doesn't seem to be able to close that gap up now. He needs to get himself about 0.7 of a second. He needs to make that up somewhere on the track. We're just having a look at some of the lap times up on our screen, and they're all within half a second, the top 5, every time they go round. We are on lap 7 of 8, so as they come around and complete this one, we will head into our final lap very, very shortly. Up on your screen though, Luke Webber just outside the top 3. He did finish on the podium, race number 2. Last lap is out now. Gordon leading this race. He came from 19th to 4th position in race number 2, and now with a commanding lead after that amazing start where he went from 4th place all the way up to 2nd into the first corner. And look at him now, commanding lead, and he's got a big gap, 7 seconds, Lachlan.
And the reason for that is because of the consistency of his lap times. His fastest lap was 1 minute 38.1 on lap 2. He's just punched out 1 minute 38.3. So not only is that car fast, but the pace is sustainable. He keeps punching out these 1 minute 38 lap times that nobody else in the field can match on a consistent basis.
Well, the final lap here, race number 3 of the Yellow Express RX-8 Cup. Welcome everybody for joining us on the coverage of the first weekend of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series, and here he goes. He heads down through the cleavage part here. Turn number 8 now, the left-hander into turn number 9. Sets himself up. He's got a clear lead of 7 seconds over the remaining part of the field as they fight it out for the minor positions. It was unfortunate to see him start off so far down in position 19 after issues in the previous racing yesterday.
Yeah, and obviously the loss of points with the DNF in race 1 will cost him some points when it comes to working out the overall round podium at the end of the weekend. But what a drive from Ryan Gordon. Massive charge from 19th to 4th in race number 2 earlier on. He was up to 2nd by the first corner in today's race and got to the lead at turn number 7. And from there, he has stormed to victory. Ryan Gordon is your winner of race number 3 for the Yellow Express Mazda RX-8 Cup with a commanding win over Justin Barnes here at Winton.
And Barnes holds on to 2nd position now as he comes past the start-finish line. Lewis will round out our podium in 3rd position. Of course, that's Justin Lewis, our series sponsor, the man with the van, Yellow Express. Give him a ring if you want to get a Amanda shirt with a big van. Load your stuff into it and move it over another side of the city. Of course, Sydney-based company as well, and he's loving being in the series. He's a ball of entertainment. He has a heap of energy when you go down and see him in the pits, and can't wait to see his interview come up very shortly. Of course, Luke Webber just missed out on the podium in race number 3. He was 3rd last race. Panaccia alongside of him couldn't get the move done. Ben Shaw in the Optus Yes RX-8 just back from that, and then we go back to Silvestro in 7th Briglio in 8th position there before we head back to Derwent, and Terry Lewis rounds out our top 10.
And Ryan Gordon, well, according to my schedule, the drift demonstration here at Winton Motor Raceway doesn't start for another few minutes, but Ryan Gordon's decided to get going early, putting on some drifting for us up at turn number 7 just to entertain the crowd. He'll be mighty stoked to have come home with the race victory, and he will have the advantage of starting on pole position for the 4th and final race. Confirmation of our race results. Ryan Gordon, your race winner by 7.9 seconds over Justin Barnes. Justin Lewis continuing his consistent weekend in 3rd position. Luke Webber and Jack Narchi. That was a great battle between those two in the closing stages. Ben Shaw, Ben Silvestro, Miles Briglio, Thomas Derwent and Terry Lewis rounding out the top 10.
Then it was back to Jackson Noakes, who just lost out to Lewis. William Ham in 12th. Then it was David Grice, Martin Lyle, Ash McConchy, the New Zealander, back to 15th position. Maisie Place just behind, and of course their teammates this weekend. Glenn Gamble in 17th, Jamie Canellis and Tom Shaw not in the field here today, so didn't start race number 2 or 3 this weekend. He did come into this round of racing for the Yellow Express RXA Cup. Of course, it's their 2nd round for their series. He came in here leading the points by 9. He's not going to be going home that way, but let's have a look at the Hi-Tec Oils highlights from race number 3 of the Yellow Express RXA Cup, and look at the start there. Barnes got away nicely, but it was Gordon from 4th position past Lewis, who's been so strong in his starts.
He certainly has been, but Ryan Gordon absolutely nailed the reaction time and the launch from grid position number 4. Justin Barnes did his best to hold on in the race lead, but Ryan Gordon set up this beautiful manoeuvre into turn number 7, just flicked it through the right-hand kick at turn 6 and then dived up the inside into turn 7. Job done into the race lead and was able to drive away from there.
Yeah, as we watched it going on, it was going to be Noakes and Lewis a bit further down the pack, and Kanachi got the New Zealander made sure he made his impression on the field as well. Wanted to make sure that he was letting him know who was here to compete with him this weekend, and so many battles here as he came down the inside there hard on the brakes. Was there contact made? That is the question. Was there any contact made at that point?
Martin Lyle rejoining the circuit there after getting hung out high and wide by Ash McConchy at turn number 11. Tucks back in behind after losing a couple of positions. And then we saw this, a bit of a mistake for Justin Lewis up at turn 7. Justin Barnes was close enough to take full advantage of that one. He was able to recapture 2nd position.
Well, he didn't stop sliding around the Yellow Express RX-8 either. He made sure. Luke Webber had a moment here where he had a look at it. It was probably the closest we saw him to having a go for 3rd position at the moment, but it was the final moments of the race where you can see way out in front, Gorton easily taking this victory there after a fantastic start, making 2 positions just on the start into turn number 1, but the car superior in speed. You can tell by the lap times there, almost half a second was his best lap over anybody else throughout the race, and he's looking very settled in that. The question is going to be how are the tyres going to last from this weekend. So they've still got 1 race to go, and we will see the RX8 Cup, all thanks to Yellow Express, back out on the grid a little bit later today. And we'll see them come back out for their next race at 2:55 this afternoon. But now let's head down to our race winners for the Yellow Express RX8 Cup with Stephen.
Justin Lewis, 3rd place in that race. How was that for you?
Again, so much fun. Just awesome. Got a pretty ordinary start, but managed to snaffle 2nd there for a little while, and had the pleasure of seeing Ryan Gordon come through. That kid is unbelievable. Really.
No worries. Thank you, Justin. We'll go to Justin Barnes, who was in 2nd place. Justin, another great result for you. Obviously, the speed of Gordon on the way through, but great result for you.
He's a 2-time RX8 Cup champion. The guy can drive. So if I can get in behind him and run with him, I'm happy. I am. Now I'm looking at trying to win the round. So, yeah, 2nd place, I'm very happy with that. Yeah.
No worries. Thank you. And we'll talk to Ryan Gordon. Congratulations, Ryan. Brilliant drive. Well done. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I made all the hard work on the practice day Friday and the race this morning to get this result for the team's awesome. That was a good drive. That was 8 quality laps in a row. Awesome.
Yeah, no worries. And obviously you've took the lead on the first lap, paced yourself and created a gap. How are you looking for race 4?
Yeah, hopefully more of the same. That would be great. I knew I had to get out in front early, get that clean air. Otherwise the car will run a bit hot and it'll pull me back. But no, it all went to plan. We got out in front, and fingers crossed we can do the same in race 4. So, yeah, thank you to my sponsors, G-Technic Coatings, EcoSafe Chemicals, and Car Care Wollongong, and car owner Rick Rogers. Thanks heaps.
No worries. Back to you guys upstairs.
Well, fantastic racing this morning, Lachlan Mansell. It's been exciting. The cars have been door-to-door, overtaking manoeuvres. I cannot wait to see what this afternoon has to bring. We have a look at the schedule. Still plenty more racing, of course. We wrap up our first half of the schedule here on Sunday, round number 1 of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. This afternoon, still our TA2s have got 2 races left to come. Of course, they kick off our live coverage after lunch. The Victorian XL Masters and Trophy class. The Australian Super TT and stock cars are back out. The RX8 Cup come back out for their final one, of course. We finish things off with our TA2 racing this afternoon, but it's a fantastic Hi-Tec Oils Super Series starting here at Winton Motor Raceway this weekend. Of course, round number 2 up there in the north. Hidden Valley Raceway in Darwin, Northern Territory. Queensland Raceway in round number 3, then Morgan Park Inland there. Bit out of Ipswich there, round number 4, and then the Sydney Motorsport Park round number 5, where we go under lights is going to be fantastic there, and back to where we have not seen national racing for many, many years, Calder Park Raceway down near Melbourne, and the crowds are going to flock to that one as well. A fantastic 6-round series, Lockie. I cannot wait to see how it all unfolds.
Thoroughly looking forward to all of those rounds. Now, this afternoon, live television on SBS Viceland and also on Fox Sports. So that's where you can watch the action from the remainder of round 1 of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series.
So an exciting start here this weekend at Winton Motor Raceway. We thank everyone who's joined us out here on our live stream this morning. If you do want to stay tuned for the racing this afternoon, like Lockie said, it's going to be SBS Viceland and Fox Sports, where you will watch it live from 1 p.m. this afternoon. So make sure you get yourself set up, get your TV tuned in, logged on to your streaming service, and we'll be back at 1 p.m. this afternoon to get underway with the TA2 Muscle Cars Australia, framed by Hi-Tec, still framing from 1 p.m. Thank you for watching. We'll see you then.